I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna f for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You f with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream. never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, we came down to our lower value area low at about $88,600. We did just about tap that to the dollar. We are getting a little bit of a bounce to the upside. The NVIDIA earnings came out better than expected. So we did get a little pop to the upside here, guys. But how high can we retrace before we are going to be looking for those bigger drops to the downside, which is obviously my overall thought process here until we end up reclaiming some bigger key levels of support and see that money flow continue to the upside. Shout out to anybody who saw the video that I dropped earlier today. If you want to know kind of my longer term bias and the higher time frame signals on Bitcoin, if you're worried about the bear market, go check out that video. I go a little bit more in depth of what we're looking for there in order to anticipate if the top is indeed in here at $126,000, or if we can somehow squeak to the upside and put a new all-time high in before the end of the year. But we're going to cover the local levels here with you guys. I'm not going to go over the higher time frames. If you guys want to check the higher time frames, you can go watch that video that I dropped earlier today. That will be the giveaway video for this Friday, by the way, guys. But yeah, we're going to talk about the local levels. Are we going to get this continued retracement? Where are the key levels above us? And if we do continue down, where is that next big level of support? But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here. Let's see. Shout out to Fender says, I feel like we have to be in a bear market. Shout out to Fender. Well, if you watch that video, I'll go over why there is a pretty strong case that we could be entering a bear market if we're not already in it very soon. But again, of course, you know, there's always the chance, right, that something's different and we just see a big pop to the upside out of nowhere. But again, that is not popping up on the charts right now. And I go over all those details in that video. Shout out to Dismazed. Shout out to you, brother. Said, Frankie, thank you for keeping it 100. Yeah, shout out to you, man. I am never going to give you guys false hopium. Of course, we've been looking at the money flow coming out for quite some time here, losing the $108,000 level. Underneath that, we had the 50-week moving average is the only other thing we can bounce off of, and here we are, getting those bigger drops to the downside. Money flow was right once again, but hopefully it's only right short term, and we can get a fake out for some reason. But we could pray for it, even though it's not the high probability case. Hey, shout out to Mad Ads. Thank you for getting those Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. Shout out to Mad Ads. I appreciate you so much, and shout out to everybody who got those 10 free memberships. Let's go. We got Kellephant in the chat getting a membership. Come on, baby. Come on. Thank you, Mad Ads. We appreciate you so much. That was very generous of you guys. Those memberships are not cheap. Get some more green names in here. I love it. But let's see. Hard to fade the sell signals. Yeah, shout out to JR4. And if you don't know what we're talking about here, guys, we're going to bring them up very briefly on the live stream. Let's see. Shout out to Piota, said, show us your shorts, Frankie. Actually, hilarious. Not really hilarious. It's actually Really sad story, but I'll actually talk about that in just a second. I am actually holding a scalp long right now, but I'll talk about the shorts in just a second. Money Flow is the best sniper in the world. Yeah, shout out to Lost Travel, 100%, bro. I mean, hey, shout out to Mad Heads. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. But yeah, I mean, the Money Flow is always going to be the higher probability trend continuation. But and you know, let's just jump right onto the charts here, guys. So you know, when you have the Money Flow coming out, of course, you can get the bounces to the upside, and you might think to yourself, right? Oftentimes, excuse me. You'll get a big drop to the downside, and you'll start to get a retracement. And it starts to get kind of hard to decide, right? If you're not looking at market cipher B, let me take off some of these levels, right? If you're not looking at market cipher B, you know, you're kind of just kept guessing here if you're going to get a big continuation up or if you should be looking for the trend to continue down. Now, obviously, you can use other things other than money flow to identify a bearish trend. Obviously, you can just look at the market structure. But of course, the money flow is kind of I know it's not technically a leading indicator, but the trending nature of the money flow is somewhat predictive, right? Because you could just see here, right, especially on the 2-day, you get the overall continuation to the downside here. This is trending out over time, letting you know that money flow is getting weaker up here, which oftentimes, especially if you can get a bearish divergence off your higher highs on your price action, you get the lower highs on your not only your momentum waves, but also your money flow. You can look at that as a divergence, right? So, you know, you could say this money flow had been looking bearish like pretty much all the way over here. And you could say, well, we put in a new all-time high, and of course that is true. We were actually looking for that all-time high. Why? Because we were sitting above our $108,000 macro value area low. As long as we held on top of this level, we were open and looking for new all-time highs to come. We got that to come in. But this money flow coming out is somewhat alarming, right? And it is somewhat predictive in the nature that you can look at the hang on one second here, guys. Thought I was going to sneeze. I've never sneezed on stream, guys. I just can't do it. My brain takes over and it won't let me sneeze. Good Lord. But of course, right, you could look at this money flow trending out, and you could use it as a little bit of a front-running indicator to see if you're going to continue to get that stronger move to the downside, right? If you're looking at the market structure, you kind of got to wait for a lower high to form and another lower low, and then you're like, okay, now we're in a downtrend. I can look to fade the highs. But of course, money flow is dead on with this most of the time, right? Of course, not 100% of the time, but the 2-day money flow, big reason, right? And then you don't want to be stuck guessing here. It's like, oh, is this the low? Are we going to bounce to new all-time highs? Now, why was I not looking at this? Why was our bias that we were eventually going to see a full fill of this range down to the value area low? Well, it had everything to do with that money flow. You're not sitting here guessing like, oh my God, we're pumping. This is bullish, right? Green candle, bullish. Not necessarily, right? So I thought it important to understand the analysis and especially be looking at money flow, in my personal opinion. So, of course, that's kind of how we identified that we were going to get this full fill of the range. And we are coming down to pretty big support, guys, right? You know, you can't ignore the fact that we are coming down to support. But, you know, back in the day, I talked about this in the video I dropped earlier today. Once you break down below the value area low, of course, we're going to anticipate the full fill of the range. The volume profiles are more likely than not to fill in full, especially once you get the money flow on the right side of that, which this obviously was, not only on the 2-day, but the daily, the 3-day, etc. But, you know, before we actually got this drop down, you know, we had looked at this level many a times in the past to kind of talk about, you know, how important it was, right? If we break below this, guys, we're probably going to get the full fill of the range. Good Lord. And, you know, a lot of people were asking, like, what happens if we get down there, right? Like, is there any good levels here that we could put in a massive high or low for a massive new all-time high? And at that point, before we had all this price action, I had to say to myself, right, when I'm looking at the chart, right, let me come into bar replay mode to kind of break this down for you. Money flow coming out on the 2-day, right, this deep in the cycle, does make me say, right, and I said I would actually drop a video to update you guys once we come down to these levels, but, you know, when we try to front-run the idea of if we got accepted in here, now, obviously, we held support, put in a new all-time high, but eventually, when you lose this level, we have to think to ourselves, well, what is money flow? In order for me to identify if I'm going to be looking for a high probability high or low and a higher high, I have to try to predict, like, what is money flow going to look like when we get down there? Well, regardless of putting in that new all-time high and getting money flow to kind of flatten out, right? We did not see a massive pump back up on money flow. We kind of just stalled out a little bit, keeping that downtrend continuing. But I try to front run that and I say, well, hey, if we get down there, you have to try to think to yourself, like, what is money flow going to look like when we're down there? Well, if we're looking for a new high or low, well, we would want to see the low put in, and we would want money flow to be in a big red wave crossing into the green. That would be a really good sign that you can get a move into new all-time highs. But I had to try to front run that and say, unless something crazy changes, we're probably going to get down here, and I'm going to look at the money flow and say, well, hey, if we get this drop down, this money flow is probably going to continue out eventually, cross over into the red. And then if we get down to these levels in the high time frame money flow, not only on the 2-day, but also the 3-day. 4-day is still trying to come out here, but, well, this is in bar replay mode. But let me just come out of this real quick. such a waste of time to come back out of this just to go back in it. But, we had the 4-day money flow still continuing out. But my thought process here was like, what would I expect money flow to look like if we're sitting back here trying to, guess what that money flow is going to look like? Well, if we get this drop down, chances are the 2-day money flow is probably going to continue bleeding into the red, which is why holding this $108,000 level was so important on top of the 50-week moving average. It's like, well, if we get to fulfill this range, I don't really want to see this, because if we get down there, we would have to assume that money flow on the 2-day is eventually going to come into the red. And if we are crossing into the red as we're down here, we don't have that signal of a big red wave crossing into the green for a massive new all-time high. So my bias, even before we got down here, was like, we'll probably be looking for lower highs and lower lows. And that is the exact situation that we're in. If we come over to the current price action, of course, price action is going to be messy. You're not going to be able to call it exactly to the dollar. I guess technically we did up here, but money flow tries to come back up, but you just generally continue trending to the downside. We're down here, money flow's in the red, right? It's hard for me to make an argument for a massive low for new all-time highs. Now, does that mean it's impossible to put in new all-time highs? Absolutely not. It just means it's the higher probability, at least based off of, I would say, the charts, but also the timing of the cycles, etc. And I will go over a little bit of a bullish case. We'll cover the local levels that if we flip, we could potentially see new all-time highs. But at the end of the day, like, here we are. We said we would check in, and of course we check in here every day on the live stream, but I even made that video to kind of be like, all right, we're down here. Now let's see, when we were up here saying if we got down here, it's like you would just have to see all that money flow completely fake out. Because if we get down here and money flow is crossing into the red now on the 3-day, also coming out on the 4-day, also crossing into the red on the 5-day, also getting very close to crossing over into the red on the 6-day, right? And our weekly is also still in the green, right? But it is technically trending out here, right? And with the timing of the cycle, it's very bearish. And we front ran all this stuff, right? It was like at that point, you're below the $108,000 value area high. We're probably going to fill the range in full, but the problem with filling that range is you're back below the 50-week moving average. We have the weekly closure down there. So, if we can get some kind of crazy pump to the upside here, guys, and flip that 50-week moving average by the Sunday's candle closure, weekly candle closure, maybe we could start talking about if we can work our way up out of this value area. And then once we could start holding this value area, we break above like 109, 110K, we could start to talk about maybe the possibility of putting in a new all-time high by the end of the year. But based off face value here on the indicators, on the charts, with the timing of the cycles, my sentiment remains the same as our kind of predicted sentiment. It's like, you guys are going to see me get up here. You guys remember, if you've been watching the live streams, you'll know it's like, if we come down here, money flow's coming out, you're going to see me come up here and be like, I don't know, guys. Not looking good. And that is unfortunately the situation that we're in, just like if we had massively bullish signs here for massive bounces to the upside. Now, of course, I'm not looking for fresh shorts down here. Retracements are definitely possible. But if I had massively bullish signs, you would see me come up here and be like, hey, guys, this looks really good for a higher low. And, of course, we do have the golden pocket 786 down here. So this is a zone that we would hope, even if we're just going to get a retracement, we would hope that it comes in between the golden pocket and the 786. We're already broken down below so many different levels, so many key levels of support. But if we lose that 786, guys, we're looking to take out this low at 75K. And if it's not looking super, super good for a higher low down here, I really do worry about lower highs, lower lows to eventually come down and crack this low, which, of course, eventually will start looking a lot more like a bear market. And the lower down we get here, the higher probability and the more likely it does look like the high is in on Bitcoin. Now, it's not 100% call. It's not 100% guarantee. Nobody knows what's going to happen here next. But just based off all the information, that's why I like to show you the signals that I'm looking at, like the video that I dropped earlier today. Again, check in on that if you guys want to know more about kind of what I'm looking at as far as the health of the cycle, the continuation, or potentially entering a bear market. But we're just basically seeing the charts play out the way we expected them to. So that's kind of longer term sentiment, but also just still remains the same. And of course, taking a look at our higher time frame cycle chart here. Let me just pull this up real quick. Right, of course, we have the 1-to-1 time fib on October 20th, which does oftentimes indicate massive pivots in the market. This is the exact level right where the top came in 2021 off all the same bearish confirmations. Again, check that video if you want more details. But at the end of the day, right, buying in the bear market, bull market target number one between $92,000 and $102,000. That's TP number one for the long-term bags. Target number two, we tapped into the bottom of it between about $123,000 and $137,000. And even if we did put in new all-time highs, you guys will know I was in the camp of taking profits, right? Obviously, up here. And then holding a portion of my bag to see if we can make it a little higher. But even if we put in a new all-time high, I was not looking for a massive bull market to begin, right? We were really just looking for that final top to come in on Bitcoin. And it does, now that we're losing all these key levels, as we mentioned before, it does look more and more likely that that top could be in. So it's definitely, we're at risk here for sure. I can't say it's guaranteed. Obviously, you could always entertain. This time is different. Of course, I think it's worth it to entertain both sides of the coin here. If I see things massively flip bullish, I'm not just going to look to short and short and short against a bullish trend. So I'm going to flip as soon as the chart tells me to. But right now, things are looking a little bit sketchy, guys. But let's go ahead and drop down to our lower time frames. Turn off the, actually, I'll keep up the macro range. I'll take off this fib, and we will take a look at our 80K range here. Now, yesterday and the day before, we were looking at the potential possibility of coming down and tapping this $88,600 value area high. Now, one of the big things that we were looking for was an SFP of this wick down here at 89,120. We did not get the SFP, but we did end up getting a push down into our value area high, which is our closest level of support, although we don't have a ton of confluence here. And we did get some low time frame bullish divergences. I did take a little bit of a scalp long off that level, up about 880 right now over on Femex. So we'll see what happens. But again, I'm not looking at this to be like, oh my God, the bottom is in. We're going to new all-time highs. If it ends up shocking us and we get that move and this is the bottom, well, great. We're long from the bottom here in the premium, but definitely going to be very, very cautious. And again, I'll cover all the local levels that I'll be looking at. We got a lot of work to do here, guys. Even if we got a massive Lambo candle, right? That would be nice if it was actually like a single daily Lambo candle up here. That would look really bullish. But again, right, you're just coming into these massive levels of resistance. And previously, after we've gotten those weekly candle closures down below, it has proven almost impossible. Not almost, right? It is always proven this late in the cycle, losing this level has indicated that some form of a bear market was coming in, right? Break down below it, bearish retest. I've shown it so many times, I won't repeat myself. Happens in every single cycle. You can go back, test it yourself. I actually recommend you go back, test it yourself. Don't just listen to some crazy guy on YouTube. Go look at it for yourself. But yeah, so, even if we got it's going to look really bullish, and just like I was mentioning in the beginning of the stream, you got to understand when the bounces are actually bullish, right? People would be like, oh my God, Bitcoin is mooning, right? Well, yeah, I mean, guess on like a lower time frame, it's, it looks like it's mooning, but on a high time frame, with your money flow sentiment in mind, right, you can actually identify that as a higher probability of a lackluster bounce, not that you can't long it, but a lackluster bounce for a lower high for the continuation of that money flow to continue playing out, right, to the downside in this case. So if we do bounce from here, if we do continue to bounce, again, I don't really feel super, super great about this being the low, just like yesterday, I didn't feel great about being the low. But we did come down to local support where we mentioned we would take scalp longs. I'm in that scalp long right now. But what are the local targets here? Well, just generally, we have our $91,500 value area low above, right? Now, I am going to keep an eye here on these Fibonacci retracements. You have the 786 beautifully in confluence with that value area low. So I'll actually pull up the golden pocket as well. We have the golden pocket value area low. So this is target number one. This was the target that we were looking at in the premium. Maybe I'll pull up the post in just a second, but there we go. Shout out to the premium. We're almost there. We're almost at that second target. But this is definitely going to be resistance, guys. And you got to be careful in these bearish environments, right? This strong downward selling pressure. You have to be careful for the aggressive lower highs and the aggressive lower lows. And last night, good Lord, guys. Last night, as we got a little retracement up here, I was actually viewing this as a potential scalp short entry, or I'm sorry, head short entry, right? Because I did take the long position, which I'm now stopped out of, obviously. I don't win every trade, right? I took a loss on that trade too. I didn't get stopped out in profit. I did not get stopped out at break even. I actually lost a little bit of money on that trade, but of course a controlled loss. So frustrating, guys. Last night, literally in the premium Discord, looking at this chart, saying, hey, we're getting a retracement. Whoops, let me pull this. Come on. Looking at this value area low in confluence with our golden pocket retracements. We come on down to a lower time frame. Whoops. Bada boom, right? Looking for price to come into that Fibonacci retracement for a hedge short entry. Because, of course, our last sound short setup was up here at 107K, 107.4 in the premium Discord. Got all the confirmations, but I was traveling at this point. Or I wasn't traveling, but I was out of town with my family. So I was just not on the chart for that entry. But that did wind up playing out really great. There was really no great entry here. I just kind of had to let price play out and sit on my hands. And then right here, I was like, you know what, guys? I'm not holding any shorts. I'm sitting in this long. I don't really feel too good about it. I'm going to take a head short here. And unfortunately, if you guys use any, actually I could pull up Femex here because Femex does offer this. If you guys use an exchange that offers these like live TP and stop loss buttons, you got to be careful. Because I think what happened was I actually entered that trade. It wound up getting stopped out like almost at break even. I didn't have my stop loss at break even, but I believe what happened there was when I was running off stream yesterday, I think I clicked this, and it's happened before, and there was no indication that there was an order there at all. So it was like an invisible order that stopped me out of the trade. Pretty brutal, if I'm being totally honest with you guys. Really frustrating because it would have been an absolutely beautiful short entry. I'll even pull it up here in the Discord just to show you guys. It's just like we were looking at many different things, right? We had the Bitcoin just being a tease there, trying to take the highs. But anyway, letting everybody know, hey, Mafia took an aggressive scalp short entry as a hedge. We had the 4-hour, 15-minute money flow. We had the 15-minute money flow crossing into the red, right? Or coming out, rather. 15-minute money flow coming into the red. Where is this? 92. Actually, I think this. Sorry, guys. This was wrong. My entry was not there. My entry was here. Not that it really makes that much of a difference. But my entry was here, not here. But anyway. So we see that happening, right? We have the 15-minute money flow coming out, right? 4-hour red dot was printing at the exact same time. And we see that as a 4-hour, 15-minute market cipher B bearish setup. Take the short position, and then I come back after decorating the Christmas tree with Mrs. Candles, and I come back to this. Enter 92,528. Closing price, $92,455, so it went down. Still wound up losing money on the fees. It was, I think I paid like $35 in fees. Better than getting wrecked, but super, super frustrating because right after that, guys, we saw exactly what we were looking for to play out, which was looking for that 15-minute money flow crossover marked out right here to give you the lower high and the continuation down. So super frustrating. Someone asked to show the short. That would have been the short I would show, but unfortunately, be careful of those live things. I don't know if there's a way to turn these off. I hope there is. Oh, there we go. Bitcoin getting a little pop to the upside. Let's go, baby. Up 1,100 on the long. Not too bad. And there you go. Missed opportunity is never missed opportunity, guys, because there's always going to be another one. There we go. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. But yeah, sad story there on the short position. But of course, again, I like to kind of show you guys like the emotions of trading. Trust me. This bothered me, right? I am not impervious to the emotions. I might not make decisions based off them. I might not FOMO short the bottom, but this was definitely frustrating to me. But, of course, there's always going to be another opportunity to make money when it comes to trading. Doesn't matter. I missed a little money here. Cool. I made money here. No big deal. But with that being said, well, here we are into that golden pocket 786 zone. So let's see if we can make it up here to that value area low at $91,500. And if we get above there, guys, the next biggest level I will be looking at, let's pull up a higher time frame here real quick. So just in general, right, getting that retracement, value area low, always going to be resistance until proven otherwise, especially in a super bearish environment like this. You got to be careful of the aggressive lower highs. But if we could flip this value area low at 91,500, we can look to cruise our way up here to these previous highs at around, call it $93,800, right? Once we get above that, we could potentially see a bigger push into the POC at $96,700, right? We're just viewing that as a volume profile. Now, of course, our money flow on the higher time frames is not necessarily saying, oh my God, moon it, right, to all-time highs. But at the end of the day, if we get this flip to support and we push up into the POC, we could just start treating this as a volume profile. The next major target above that will be between about $100,000 psychological near our golden pocket, and then our 786 retracement, at least currently, is sitting very close to our 50-week moving average at 102,000, 103K. And then this is obviously going to be a huge macro level, right? And like at this point, surely we're good for all-time highs, right? Like look at that, massive bounce to the upside, super, super bullish, right? Well, based off the 3-day, looking at that money flow continuing out, I would still say there is an opportunity to get a lower high and a lower low. For me personally, guys, now, again, it's not possible to put new all-time highs in by the end of the year, although looking very unlikely based off the charts right now. I want to be clear. But, I can't say it's impossible, right? I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, you're an idiot if you think it's going up, right? That's just not how it works. But if we are going to look for new all-time highs, guys, at the end of the day, we got to get up here, right? You got to fight this resistance. You got to fight this resistance. You got to fight this big level of resistance between about 100,000 to 103K. And then once we get above there, you got the value area high above you at 108. Once we break out of here and we can start getting accepted into this upper value, that is where I will start to feel a little bit better about potentially seeing new all-time highs. And we still have massive resistance up here as well, right? But if I have to draw out a case here, it's that you just start scamming up. Everyone's like, what the heck? Bitcoin is mooning, and all the indicators slip around. Other than that, guys, there are so many high time frame bear signals on the chart. I don't want you guys to get it twisted. Yes, I am long, but this does not mean that I'm expecting this to be all-time highs. If it winds up turning into all-time highs, and I'm honest about this too, right? Like, if this long position ends up bringing us into new all-time highs, you're never going to see me come up here and be like, I mean, I might say we're long from the bottom, right? But this is never looked at as like, I'm not looking at this as this is the plan for the trade, right? I'm being very cautious, treating these as day trades and scalps and taking profit and trailing my stop loss along the way. If it winds up being the move to all-time high, I will let that hit me by surprise. It is a swing trade potential position, right? It could turn into a swing trade, but with all the higher time frame bearish confirmations, I'm going to be very careful and, of course, expecting the higher probability outcome, which, in my opinion, as of right now, is going to be lower highs and lower lows. Yes, even if we come up to 103K and even potentially 108K. It's not until we start getting above these levels that I start to feel really good about potentially seeing that trade turn into a big move. But at the end of the day, I am really expecting, I would not be surprised. Like, maybe the NVIDIA earnings, like, help us just, like, maybe that's like a bullish black swan and we don't have to go back down. But I am still going to be very suspicious of coming down here, guys, between $85,064 and $82,400, where we have our daily MPOCs, our weekly MPOCs, our monthly MPOCs, 786 retracement, the POC of this previous range. This is still the biggest level down below. Said we would take scalps off this local level. There's not a ton of confluence. Money flow still looks bearish, right? So we did take the scalp. Beautiful. But if we do continue down, this is still the next area that I will be looking. And I would say it is probably high probability. I pray it's not. I hope it's wrong. But it is, as far as the charts go, looking more likely to be a case like that. And we'll see, right? Maybe if we come up here and it looks really good, we could say, hey, no confirmations for a short. Let's hold it and continue up. And I'll keep you guys updated here. Let's see. Shout out to the Godfather. Says, surprise, it's all-time highs calling. Shout out to the Godfather. I hope my phone rings and it just says BTC all-time highs. That'd be fire. Let's see. The green swan. Shout out to Paper Pizza Rock. Yeah, I guess a bullish black swan would be a green swan. Yeah, okay. Shout out to Lucia, said the SFP is kind of there on the 12-hour. So yeah, the one thing that we were really looking at is I wanted to see lower time frame confirmations, right? You're not always going to get the SFPs on the time frames that you're looking for, right? I like to see them for an entry, right? I like to see the SFP on a 1 hour. We technically did get it, but money flow wasn't looking very good, so I did not take the position expecting this level to get hit, and it wasn't until we hit this level with the bullish divergences that I went ahead and took that position. But if you look at a higher time frame, right? Yeah, we do have the high time frame SFPs. It's just not, right? Like, if we were going to wait for this to confirm, right? Let's just say this candle confirms right here. The entry is much worse, right? I'm already up over $1,000 on this trade. And if you wait for this candle to confirm, you're going to be entering up here and not down here, which is totally fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the reason why when I say we didn't get the SFP, I'm really just mentioning that we didn't get the low time frame SFP that we really wanted to see. So yes, you do have high time frame SFPs there, and hopefully it means something, right? Hopefully we can continue to squeeze to the upside. We also had a ton of people shorting at the bottom as well, which does give you fuel to kind of squeeze price to the upside. That was another kind of reason that I was looking for this to continue up. I can even actually show you guys here in the Discord, so you don't think I'm blowing I don't know, candles up your butt. Where we at, right? So here's this morning, right, looking to come down to this level, looking for the SFP, but really looking to get the tap here on the value area high. And then as we push into it, right, I dropped a little video update here for the Mafia, but hey, guys, as we're pushing into the value area high of our lower range, I am expecting lower overall at this level. As this level does not have a lot of confluence, and we also did not get the lower time frame SFPs, but we do have a couple of low time frame bull divs and a ton of shorts opening that entered at the exact low, so we may be able to get a little continuation up here, but careful, scalps only until proven otherwise, just like I just mentioned in this bearish environment. If we do get a little continuation, here's the local levels we're going to be looking at. I took the scalp, super low risk, not financial advice, of course, as always. So we'll see. Not a bad plan. Playing out beautifully. We'll see. This is the next big level of resistance here at $91,500. We could flip that. Hopefully, we can come up and take those highs at 93K. If not, this is definitely going to be resistance here. And when we take a look at Market Cipher B, you can see our 4-hour green dot is looking to print here. Lower lows on our price action, higher lows on our momentum waves. Green dot looking to print. I would still say money flow looks super suspicious, but that could also potentially help us for a little bit of a continuation up. And then, of course, the bigger levels sitting up closer to about $96,000. So, yeah. Let's see. Shout out to Al Jr. said, blowing what? What? Diddy? I miss. Shout out to Al Jr. It's crazy. Shout out to Rowski. I don't know how to say your full name. I apologize, but he says, was able to get in along at 89,200. Let's go, baby. Let's go. You did not miss much, Al Jr. Shout out to Steven. Oh, God. Let's see. Yeah, bear market is here. Shout out to Steven. Definitely go check out that video that I dropped, guys. Show some love on that video. Drop a comment, drop a like, help support the channel, and enter for a chance to win some free crypto on Friday's giveaway. Yeah, NVIDIA did at least locally save Bitcoin. Yeah, NVIDIA's earnings came out better than expected, so this is very likely why we're seeing this bounce to the upside. But again, right, like you have to look at everything relatively, right? Nice big candle. I mean, even down here, like very nice push up. Come up to the 3-day, right? It's like not even a green candle yet. So, and again, this is why I try to prepare people, just like up here, when we try to prepare you for like what it's going to look like and why we don't want to come down to these levels because of money flow. You know, I try to prepare you guys, like, even if we got to push to 103K, this would not, I try to give you guys an invalidation, right? Because just because the charts have a bearish bias does not mean that that has to happen, right? There are invalidations for this. And even if we got to push up to 103K, this would not invalidate the higher time frames. Unless we see the money flow fake out, it very likely would not be invalidated at this point. I will be looking for shorts. You are in an environment right now that facilitates a situation where you are much more likely or much better off looking to fade the highs than just look for gigalongs at the lows. But of course, I'm not going to short the bottom. I'm going to long the bottom, right? So even if this is just a little retracement up, right, we'll make money on that, and then we could flip for the next short. And then, you know, if the charts play out, eventually ride this thing much lower. So there you go. Shout out to Waffle Cone, said, Frankie, you're a legend. I appreciate you. Shout out to Waffle Cones. And Waffle Cones is my favorite type of cone to put my ice cream on. Just a quick little word of fun fact about Frankie Candles. Waffle cones are goated. Wafer cones are tasteless and disgusting. Let's see. Shout out to Dennis, said, Frankie, on the 3-day, look at the momentum waves. Is that some kind of a signal separate from money flow? So, I mean, yeah, of course, right? The momentum waves, when it comes to market cipher, guys, the money flow, I say this every day, but I know we have new people in here every day, so I have to always bring this back up. On market cipher, the green and the red dots are going to indicate the ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. Green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. Money flow indicates the overall trend, right? And this is why right now with money flow coming out, we obviously have highs, lows, lower highs, lower lows, which, by the way, we were looking for before they even happened based off money flow. But when you see this, right, and money flow is coming out, you're saying to yourself, well, hey, if I get a bounce here, that's great. But I know that money flow is coming out, and even if that green dot on Market Cipher B gives me an ebb or flow to the upside, if that money flow is trending out, this is going to let you know what side the trend is going to stick on. More likely than not, right? And that's going to let you know, well, if money flow is coming out and you get a bounce, again, if you get a bounce and money flow is coming out, that bounce does not necessarily mean, oh my God, we're mooning, right? It could mean lackluster retracement, lower high, lower low. If this is your zero line on Market Cipher B, well, I'll just line it up with this. I'll just line it up with the actual money flow. If I have a trend like this, right, or even if before you put in a lower high, right, if you have a big drop to the downside and your money flow is crossing over into the red, right, we have a high, a low, a lower high, lower low, lower high. This money flow comes out. This is letting me know any bounce that I see from here, especially on a higher time frame, right? You could use this on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, anything. But on a 3-day, it's just more important because a 3-day trend to the downside is going to be much more aggressive than a 5-minute trend to the downside. So when I see money flow coming out, and we're pushing down, if I get a bounce there, this money flow is letting me know that, and look at this, green dot looking to print on the 3-day. Yes, this is an oversold momentum wave, and we are looking to print a green dot. This could give you an ebb or flow to the upside, but the money flow is indicating to you that this bounce is much more likely to be a lower high for a lower low. Exactly as we've looked at here on the 2-day. 2-day money flow comes into the red. Here's the money flow crossover. Yes, we're bouncing. Yes, you have a 2-day green dot, but you're expecting that bounce to be a lower high and a lower low. It's the same thing anywhere on the chart. Pull up the daily time frame anywhere else. Let's look here. Daily money flow crossover. I mean, we basically wiggled sideways, but you do still put in a lower high and a lower low. Would you be looking to long this, even if you have your Fibonacci retracements, right? Oh my God, golden pocket 786, send it. Not necessarily. Why? You're going to be looking for an ebb or flow to the upside for a lower high and a lower low. Why? Look at yo money flow. Money flow is king. Test it anywhere. Well, any random place on the chart where you have money flow, a decisive money flow crossover. I mean, even here, money flow crossover, lower high, lower low. It's a little bit of a fake out. Totally different part of the cycle, obviously. Even here, here's another money flow crossover into the red. Lower high, lower low. Lower high, lower low. Lower high, lower low. High, low, lower high, lower low. What's your money flow doing? It's in the red, right? So this is how we do this, right? So in this case, I'm going to treat it exactly the same as we've been treating this ever since before we got the big drop. I'm still going to be anticipating lower highs and lower lows. And if that makes you, and again, it's not that it has to play out, right? It's just a higher probability, but you can see how this has played out in the past, keeping us on the right side of that trend. It's going to be the same thing here, just on a higher time frame. Let me get rid of some of these levels, right? It's going to be the same thing here, just on a higher time frame. If that green dot prints, so yes, this momentum wave could be indicating that we're a little bit oversold. Could indicate that we're going to get a green dot once that VWAP crosses over. That could indicate, yes, we can bounce, but I'm not looking at that as, I'm not looking at that as, oh my God, we're mooning, right? I'm looking at it exactly as I just explained. Showing the examples of how that keeps you on the right side of the trade here and everywhere else I just brought up, right? And that's just my logic, right? It happens 9 out of 10 times. I'm just going to stick with that. If it fakes out, well, great. Guess what? You could still be bearish and eventually hold this long for new all-time highs, right? Again, not my anticipation, but a lot of people will be like, you're going to get wrecked because you're bearish. It's not the case. That's not the case, right? It's not how this works. It's just simply not how it works, right? A lot of people will be like, oh my God, this guy's bearish. He's going to lose all his money. Like, no, I'm still partially exposed to the market, and I'm in a long here, right? You don't have to be 100% right or 100% wrong. You have to find the high. You have to change your mindset from a prediction mindset to a probability mindset. This is, sure, it's a prediction, right? At face value, right? It's a prediction. Hey, I think we're probably going to come up, put in a lower high and a lower low. This does not mean that if that is wrong, that you have to get wrecked. That's not the case. If that is the case, you've been taught wrong, right? It does not have to be the case, right? If we come up here and I take a short, right, just to give a little education here. Let's say I take a short here. Hey, I think this looks like a lower high. Let's go ahead and break down the low here. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? That would be the continuation of the trend. Is money flow pointing in that direction? It absolutely 100% is. I could take this short, and chances, I mean, let's just say we come up from where we are now, and I don't get stopped out of my long. Well, guess what? I'll be holding the long position with my stop loss at break even, right? I could take some profit here at the key levels of resistance, take a shot at the short. If the short stops out, my long will continue to pay us out. And I'm also still partially exposed to the market, right? So even if we go into new all-time highs and I wasn't holding along, right, I'm still partially exposed. So hopefully that makes sense, right? And we've been talking about this for so long. I never bring this stuff up to be like, look, we're geniuses. I'm right. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. I say that every single live stream. It's just the fact of the matter. With anybody you listen to, they're going to be wrong sometimes, right? There's no way to be right 100% of the time. Charts are going to keep you on the right side more often than not, but it doesn't mean, right, that just because these signs are on the chart does not mean it's impossible to put in new all-time highs. But if we dump down into a bear market, it's just not going to be the most surprising thing in the world because the charts are pointing towards that. So there you go. Hopefully it helps you out. I'm not here to be bearish. I'm not here to spread fear. I don't even emotionally defend my stance because my stance is not based off emotion. It is based off the chart. So my emotional stance is, I hope this thing just moons, right? Like, that's my emotional stance, but I'm not just going to trade that if the charts are pointing against it, if that makes sense. All right, let's see. Shout out to Brillo said, Frankie, oh my God, we're mooning. Yes, yeah, shout out to Brillo. On the lower time frames, yes, I guess you could maybe consider this mooning. But yes, I think it is, again, based off what I just explained. Brillo, I know you know this. You've been here for quite some time. It's all context, right? Like, come up a time frame. Now, not that this isn't a super, bearish candle or something, but you got to zoom out sometimes, right? I don't even want to say when in doubt, zoom out, but like when you feel that, oh my God, we're dumping, or oh my God, we're pumping, zoom out, right? To kind of get an idea of like what the, I see this constantly, right? Like even here, people are like, oh my God, we're mooning, this is so bullish, right? But it's like, not really, right? So yeah, and that's why I prepare you guys, because even if we push up here, it's gonna be like, oh my God, we're mooning. Don't let that affect your emotions, right? Base it off the charts. But yes, yeah, very nice move here. And I have every reason to be excited about this because we are holding the long. So there we go. Let's see. Yes, all good fun. Shout out to Brillo. Yeah, and I will argue this, bro. This feels like we're mooning for sure. This feels like an absolute moonshot. Especially nice to see a little bit of relief come in here, even if it is going to be short term. And hopefully it's not. Moon it, Frankie, moon it. Shout out to the Godfather. Come on, baby, come on. I tried to pump up Mrs. Candles the other day. Not going to lie, guys. She's having trouble holding air. Zooming out makes me want to panic buy. Shout out to Jets. Let's go. And again, keep an eye on that money flow, baby. Keep an eye on that money flow. This, right? Let's just go back in hindsight. Last time you had 5-day money flow looking like this, just to kind of control the emotion a little bit. Let's come back here, right? Pay attention to what this money flow looks like right now. Just crossed over into the red. Let's come back here. Very similar money flow. I think we can agree on that, right? Very similar money flow. Would this, right? Oh my God. Massive dump to the downside. 50-week moving average. This is support. High, low, higher, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? Let's panic buy. And I know, I forgot who said this. I know you're probably not actually going to panic buy. And if you want to panic buy, please do so, right? Don't listen to me. But let's panic buy right here. I mean, I think we all know what happens, right? Panic buying on that money flow is oftentimes not a great idea, right? Now, could this money flow, right? I could have been wrong that last cycle, right? I could have said, hey, this looks bearish, and then you could have reclaimed and sent it to the upside. Lower probability, but not impossible, right? This is why I say you have to make your own decisions, right? Because this could have been wrong. I made my decisions based off of this. I was happy with that decision because obviously we went down into the massive bear market after that. But at the end of the day, right, I could have been wrong there. I accept that I could be wrong, right? We could have flipped this to support. This money flow could have just yanked back to the upside out of nowhere, and we could have mooned. It was lower probability, though, based off the timing of the cycle, based off the loss of the 50-week moving average, based off the money flow, etc. Right? The 5-day money flow is not a signal that we see oscillate very often. You can see the only other money flow crossover that we had other than this before the bear market was the crossover into the green, marking off that the bottom was in bull market ahead, right? Bull market, wave stays green this entire time, crosses red, bear market. Right? And you can see we are in a very, very similar situation here. Right? So it's the same thing. It's like this could all get invalidated maybe if we bounce up, flip that 50-week moving average and continue up. That's definitely not impossible, but it's just a lower probability right now. I was right last time. Maybe I'll be wrong this time. But that doesn't change. It's not going to make me change the way I make my decisions. So, but I feel you, bro. I mean, you zoom out on the higher time frames, and it's like, oh my God, we dumped. It's kind of hard. I get it, right? I'm super bullish on Bitcoin in general as an asset, right? So it's like, it's kind of hard not to just always want to buy this thing on the dips. But of course, with the massive volatility in crypto, there could be much more downside ahead, potentially. And of course, I hope I'm wrong, as I say 100 times a day. Let's see. Shout out to Jesse, said we all want the old school Frankie Candles hat. Check this out, guys. I'm rocking the vintage classic CandleMafia. Let's check the hair. Okay, hair's not that crazy. Hair's not that crazy. CandleMafia Haikanashi trend hat. The dad hat, baby. Dad hats are my favorite. We actually don't have these anymore. Maybe we should we bring them back? Maybe we'll bring them back. Shout out to Jesse. You can get the game worn one. The stream worn Frankie Candles Haikanashi trend hat. Yeah, shout out to Top Shot. I said, bro, double bottom, SFP, 88,600. Remember from yesterday, shout out to Top Shot. Absolutely, bro. We said we couldn't forget your name, bro. Absolutely 100%. There it is. With a 4-hour bullish divergence, right? Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like super, super excited about this. Yeah, it's nice. I'm excited. But I just want anyone like taking this emotion into their own person. But yes, absolutely, right? We didn't get the low time frame SFPs, but it would look up to those higher time frames. Look at it here, baby. There it is. Shout out to Top Shotta, baby. Come on. Let's get back up in here. Come on. Shout out to Top Shotta. Let's see. Nah, the new ones are better. Shout out to Perry. I do like myself a new one as well. I have, you guys should see my house. It's like in my mud room, there's just like on all the coat racks is just like a Frankie Candles hat, like 3 Frankie Candles hats in every color. I destroy the hats. Shout out to Moyd, said Frankie, pump on BTC happening now. What do you think about the levels for the long you took? I took a long also at about the same time. Shout out to Moyd. Do you mean what do I think about the level that we took the long off of? To be honest, as I mentioned yesterday, right? And you guys will very rarely see like my sentiment change stream to stream unless there's a reason that I can explain it, right? Because the only reason I change my sentiment is if there's a reason to change it. My kind of thought process yesterday was we do have the value area high sitting here at 88,600. This is why when Top Shot was mentioning that SFP, I was talking about how that is something that we're looking for, right? We had the value area high here at $88,600. We had the wick down here that looked like it wanted to get taken out. And the one thing I will say about this level, if that's what you mean, is that there's not a lot of confluence here, right? It's just the value area high. Now, does that mean it's impossible to get a strong bounce off of it? No. But I am going to be treating this as a day trade or scalp until proven otherwise, like I said yesterday. And we said we would take the scalps. Did. Still going to be viewing it like that. Nothing about this like fast bounce is making me think like, oh, that's it. It's all good. We're going to all-time highs. But, yeah, I mean, it's a level, right? It's there. We also had a CME gap down here as well. So, yeah, I mean, just see the confirmations. If you see the confirmations, I take the trade. If I don't see the confirmations, no trade, right? We came down here. We had the low time frame bullish divergences with the potential for the high time frame SFP, lower highs or lower lows, higher lows, right? Into your key level of support. There it is, right? We were waiting for it. Looking for the SFP. Didn't get it on the lower time frames, but we caught the entry down here on the value area high. And then if this ends up closing as a high time frame SFP, well, we're in on that SFP as well. So there you go. I don't know if that's what you mean or if you're talking about targets above. I actually just covered them in the beginning of the stream. If you just scrub back, you'll see all the targets that I'm looking at for the medium and the long term. Let's see. Shout out to Lucia said, Frankie, do you remember 88.5K shorts in March? 88.5K shorts in March. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean. Maybe the short here. Did we take? We probably did take a short here at the value area high potentially. I don't remember. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe that's what you're talking about. But yeah, let me know, Lucia. Let me know. I'll take a look at it for you. Loving it. Nice work, Frankie. Shout out to Moid. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. This channel is sponsored by the CandleMafia. Smashing the like button and hitting the subscribe button and sharing and doing all that good stuff. Notifications, all the good stuff. What are my thoughts on 85K? Shout out to Caleb. Caleb. I don't know why I said Caleb. Every time I read the name Caleb, I say Caleb for some reason. If anybody knows Caleb Hammer, he does financial audit. He's a big YouTuber. I call that guy Caleb Hammer for so long. I don't know why. But that's why I'm not an English teacher, guys. I trade. I'm a degenerate for a living. I'm just kidding. Not a degenerate, guys. But anyway. My opinion on $85,000 is I still think, right? I mean, depending on how this local bounce goes, right? If I mean, at the end of the day, right? If we flip the POC, we flip 103K, we flip 108K, we flip 110K, and then we're looking for new all-time highs. Well, through that journey, as we hit the key levels and analyze price action, my thought is, just like up here before we came down here, I said if we come down here and money flow looks like, if I have to predict what money flow will look like, if I have to try to speculate on what money flow will look like, I'll probably have a bearish bias. In that same manner, right, I would have to assume that if we get up here, I'm probably still going to remain bearish. But if something's different, well, then at that point, my opinion changes on 85K. But I am still very, very suspicious of that level getting tapped. And the reason for that is if we take all these key levels off the chart, and we just look at our horizontals, right? Our biggest levels, right? Let's take a look at the Fibonacci retracement from the high to low, or from the low to the high. Golden pocket. If the golden pocket doesn't hold, more often than not, guys, you are going to get a move. And hopefully this puts it into perspective, right? Like, we are not, it's all relative, right? We're mooning. And what time frame? Like, look at the 16-hour, right? Like, would you consider that mooning? Right? So you could say you're mooning. Like, you can't say you're not mooning here, right? Like, oh my God, we're mooning, right? But context is king, right? Like, this is nothing about this makes me think that we're going to all-time highs. We haven't even broken these previous highs. So, but either way, right? You lose the golden pocket. If you cannot reclaim the golden pocket, well, where are we going to expect to go, right? Well, next place for price to likely go is going to be the 786 Fibonacci retracement, which sits at $85,500. And it's not just the 786 down there. It is also 3 daily MPOCs just underneath us, weekly MPOC, and your monthly MPOC. This zone here is still a major level of support. And if we are going to see the higher time frame continuation down, whether it is aggressive, lower high, lower low, and we just keep melting, Hopefully that's not the case tomorrow. Or if we get a retracement into some of these key levels for a lower high, or we get the push into 103, 104, 105K and the lower high, I still think this is a massive level of support. And I don't think it is, right? It just is. I could take the golden pocket off the chart because we've already lost that. But when you look at this, it's like, well, hey, negating all the intermediary levels, it's like, well, hey, if we get a retracement here, maybe we get the lower high. If we come up first to put in a lower high and a lower low, that is still in the cards. That is still the next major level of support. If we get up here, put in a lower high and a lower low, that is still the major level of support. And if we just wind up nuking down from where we are, that is still a major level of support. And I'm still very, based off the high time frame money flow, still obviously very, very suspicious of that coming in. So I would say that is a huge level, if you want my opinion on it. Absolutely gigantic level. And the only other, it's really the only place, as I mentioned yesterday, that I would be interested in bigger, more confident swing longs, right? Said I would take the scalp here at 88.6, but I just don't have a lot of confidence. I have to if it's going to play out in a big way, I'm just going to have to let that hit me by surprise. I'd feel a lot better about holding a long from down here much longer and maybe a potentially bigger position. So yeah, definitely a huge level. I mean, but look at all this confluence, right? Like if you look at the horizontal levels, resistance up here, where's the support? I mean, that value area high is here, but there's really not a lot underneath us, right? Fast moves up, can lead, 2 fast moves down. And then the next significant level of support is sitting there between $85,000 and $82,000. So there you go. That's my opinion on 85K. Shout out to Blockchain Domain. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, trading for a living sounds nice. I just blow up my accounts for a living. Shout out to Blockchain Domain. It's okay, brother. It happens to the best of us. Of course, I took a loss too, right? I took a loss on the swing long position, only to enter again into the long that I'm sitting in right now. But of course, shout out to Blockchain. I have a feel you've been around for a long time. I'm sure you kind of know maybe any mistakes that you might be making. I'm sure you're aware of. But if you're blowing up the accounts, tighten up the risk management. Maybe you're not setting your stop losses. I don't know for a fact. But of course, if you set your stop losses, you're making your losses smaller than your wins. If you're risking 1 to 3% of your account, you should be able to take a bunch of losses in a row without blowing up your account. If you are doing that, maybe take a break, jump on demo trading, practice a little more, something like that. But yeah, it happens to the best of us, brother. I have bad days. I have bad weeks. I sometimes have bad months. Actually, this week, I've been getting cooked. Not necessarily cooked as in blowing up my accounts, but just cooked like bullied, right? Like the past couple of weeks, right? Like I said, we had our short setup here from, I've covered this many times, so I won't go into detail, right? But like we had the short setup up here where we were looking for 2 very specific confirmations. And of course, I was just traveling while I was doing this, right? I went to go visit family. My niece was getting baptized. So, and I was even able to check in with the Mafia in the Discord as we were pushing here, letting them know, looking for a new high to be made to get the bearish divergences to print before taking the short. And we did see both of the confirmations we wanted to see to enter that trade. Absolute slapper setup. But unfortunately, I just was not on the charts. I did not catch the trade. So that was really painful, right? Because that was like the next best short setup for a massive drop to the downside. That would have been, I mean, wick to wick. Would have been a 5-figure trade for sure. But that's okay, right? Missed that position. And then yesterday, again, I'm just getting, like, I feel like I'm getting bullied, guys. Took the short position from right here and then, got scammed on the take profit thing here. Be careful if your exchange offers these guys. It's very convenient when you want to use it, for sure. Definitely very convenient. But I got to see if there's a way to turn these off because this is now the second time, and I'm almost positive that's what happened. Super annoying. But I was glad I was able to get it in the Discord. Well, hopefully other people did not get scammed out of their positions. So now I'm just... Stop loss already a break even here. So I'm not going to get scammed on this one. Shout out to Wick 589. What is going on, brother? Welcome in. He's got the #1 crown in the chat right now. I love it. Shout out to Wick 589. He says, Frankie's right. His core community is super duper confident, and you can probably talk to anyone you see here with a wrench if you feel overwhelmed and need to talk about your losses. Yeah, shout out to Wick 589. Guys, that's a part of the journey. Unfortunately, right, like, there's obviously the beauty in trading is you can make a whole lot of money in a lot of times not that much time, right? Now, obviously, you have to go through the journey to learn how to do it before you get to that point. But the road to get there is a long and difficult road. And you're going to take losses, especially in the beginning. It's going to feel frustrating. It's going to feel impossible. But I promise you, hopefully coming up here and giving you this free education every day, showing you the trades, walking you through, like, even the mistakes that I make. At the end of the day, sure, am I blaming this on the exchange? No, I should have double checked my actual orders to make sure that my stop loss was not set or set in the right place. So at the end of the day, that's just still my fault, right? So you have to have a lot of self accountability, and you're going to have losses. You're going to have bad days. I have bad days and bad weeks and bad months still, right? So it is important to talk about. And luckily, I get to share it with you guys. So I have a kind of like a big community to share the losses with or the wins. But it's a hard road, and it's the people who could stick it out and actually identify their mistakes and change them that actually wind up getting on the other end of it. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just not as easy as a lot of people would like to make you think online. I think the hardest part about trading is being consistent with your strategy and mindset. Yeah, shout out to Dare, 100%, right? The strategy is the strategy, right? So I always say this, right? Like 99% of the strategies out there are good enough to make money with good risk management, right? So, that's why I don't shove my strategies down people's throats. I mean, I do here, right? But if someone tells me I trade patterns, I don't trade patterns. I'm not gonna argue with that person to try to make them not trade patterns because my way is better. If they're making money trading patterns, then do that, right? Chances are they're just really good at managing the trades, and if it works for them, I would never try to steer them away from it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what strategy you're using as long as it's a legit strategy and it works over time. The only thing that will change the fact that you're gonna make money or not, it doesn't mean you're not gonna lose multiple trades in a row. It doesn't mean that you're never gonna take a loss. But managing the trades is the only way to turn a strategy profitable. You could use the most profitable strategy on earth. I don't know what that would actually be. I would argue volume profiles. I don't know how volume profiles are slept on as much as they are. It is the best way to trade, in my opinion. But the only way to make trading volume profiles or trading Fibonacci's or trading patterns profitable is to stick to the plan and use risk management, right? You could have the best strategy in the world with no risk management. It's absolutely useless. And that's the part that's difficult because you have to have a lot of self-accountability. You have to criticize yourself. You have to admit that you made mistakes. You have to actually change them over time. And a lot of times you can make the mistake, identify it, and then you just still make the mistake again. And that's what I struggle with a lot. At the end of the day, like, I was good enough at the TA. I had the right strategy, but I didn't have the mental under control, right? And it didn't matter how many times I hit my head on that door or hit my head on that wall. It's not going to break through until I identify, you know what? Maybe I should actually try to take partial profits and stop trying to, every time I long, price goes up, but I still lose money. How is that? Well, I'm probably not taking profits along the way. I'm getting greedy. That's an emotion. I get fearful. You move your stop loss because you don't want to be wrong. And that's where people get tripped up. That is the hard part of trading. The secret to trading, guys, is mastering that. The TA and the strategies, it takes time to learn it, but that is the easiest part of trading. Ask any real trader. The easiest part is the analysis and the strategies, and sometimes you'll have hard market conditions. It's been pretty difficult recently, but that's the easy part, right? The hard part is, someone can hand you the best strategy on earth on a silver platter, and what people expect is like, oh, I'll just buy when it says to buy, and then I'll just make $1 million, right? You still have to be able to manage that trade and not get greedy, not get fearful. Yeah, shout out to the Contrary Traders, or New Earth Guardian says, learning to spot absorption in real time is key. Yeah, absolutely. That was a big game changer for me as well, because you can actually, I don't have XO charts open right now, but you can actually identify, that's part of the reason why I took this long, right? And it wasn't necessarily, I guess you could consider it absorption, right? But we saw all these, I'm not going to explain how this all works right now, but we saw a ton of shorts coming in at the bottom here with what I like to call a reversal candle on XO charts. You could look at that as absorption, right? You have a lot of volume coming in. You have negative delta showing you that you have a lot of people shorting at the bottom. The level is not breaking. You're hitting a key level of support. Well, what does that mean, right? What is absorption at the end of the day? Well, it is when you see a lot of market participants shorting at the exact low and the level does not break, right? What this could indicate is that there might be a large limit order being filled here, and all those shorts are shorting into the bottom. And what happens when people are shorting? Well, their stop losses and liquidation levels are going to have to go somewhere, and more likely than not, they're going to go above the previous highs, above the previous highs, above the previous highs, and then you start to get that squeeze to the upside, right? Because once these people get stopped out of their shorts, it creates a market buy and pushes price to the upside. So yes, that is a big game changer. We cover that a lot more in the premium Discord, but that's a huge, looking at the order flow is absolutely key. Shout out to Paper Pete's Rock said the key to trading is mastering your bait. He's talking about fishing lures, guys. But anyway, let's see. You're dropping bombs tonight. Shout out to Caleb. Yeah, it's just the truth, guys. It really is just the truth. That's why I share my losses with you guys as well. I took a loss today. right? Well, I'm in a winning trade right now, but guess what? If I don't set my stop loss if I don't set my stop loss and I get liquidated, whose fault is that? Here's a beautiful trade, right? And I'm no different than anyone else, right? I do have my stop loss set at break even though, but I could take this beautiful long position, and if I do not set my stop loss and price decides to turn around, I could have every reason to expect price to go up, and for some reason price can just nuke down, and if I don't have my stop loss set, guess what? I had a beautiful trade, made a bunch of money, but it doesn't matter. Perfect entry, right? I could have even had somebody tell me, hey, it's the perfect time to buy Bitcoin. It's going to go up right now. I could buy it. If I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to manage the trade, I'm not paying myself along the way, I'm not at least protecting myself in case it goes against me, well, then guess what? I'm going to get absolutely wrecked. Was that the setup's fault? No. There was plenty of opportunity to make money here. If this rides down and I got liquidated and lost a bunch of money or blew up an account, whose fault is that? That's my fault. It's not the strategy's fault. It was a perfect entry, perfect confirmations. I wouldn't say perfect. It was like a B setup maybe. But you had the confirmations. You had the key level tapped. Beautiful setup. You lose money here, right? That's my fault, right? But a lot of people don't like to do that, right? A lot of people have big egos. They don't want to admit that they're wrong. They want to blame it on the market. Market doesn't care. You can blame the market all you want. It just does not care. You're the only, this is the only thing you can control is managing the trades and the risk management. It's the only thing you can control. You can't control the tweets. You can't control the price action. You can't control the liquidity. You can't control the short squeezes. You can't control manipulation. The only thing you can control is what you do with your trade. So that's why I say you got to quadruple down on that part of your trading. That is what is going to make you profitable, not the strategy. To a degree, obviously. You don't just want to like long and short randomly. But anyway, let's see. When is the best time to move your stop loss? Shout out to Fantasy Killer. I mean, it'll change level trade to trade, but I will say this. All I can really do here is just kind of talk about what I did with my trade, right? And I'll show you in real time, right? Where are we at? Right? So we saw the shorts coming in, right? So we have pushing into the key level. We have the shorts opening, potentially putting liquidity above. We had the bullish divergences. We had the key targets above. We hit the first one. Once I got up to this anchored VWAP, I moved my stop loss to break even. Taking profit is a bit hard, right? Or not hard, right? But it's a bit hard for me to put like a solid rule on because it's kind of preference, right? So when I got up to this anchored VWAP, I moved my stop loss to break even. Now I'm in a guaranteed risk-free trade. Not a guaranteed winner, but a guaranteed risk-free trade. I'm not going to get blown up if it goes against me. And then you want to have your targets to the upside. And let's say your idea for this trade is that you're going to put in a lower high on the 786. That's kind of your final take profit at that point, right? So whether you want to come up to your first local fib, take 20% off the trade, make it to your second golden pocket, take 20% off the trade, and then you get up to the 786, maybe take 20% out of your trade. And then at that point, you could take those take profits, stop loss at break even. Now you're in a guaranteed winning trade. But if you want, right, you could take the and then you can let the rest of that trade ride, right? If you flip the value area low, you can hold the rest of that trade to just let it run. And then what you can do at that point is you can start trailing your stop loss into profit, right? But it really depends, right? Like you could take 50% out here. There's no real rule, in my opinion. It's kind of subjective. Me personally, I just haven't taken profit on this. I probably should have, to be quite honest with you. But you're just always going to have different levels, and the percentage you take out, you just have to think to yourself, like if that's the full thought of the trade, that's your final take profit, well, maybe you want to be 50% out of the trade and let the rest ride. And then as it moves up, you can start to trail your stop loss, right? So let's just say you're in here. I'm not going to move my stop loss to break even because it unhighlight. I could just do it anyway. But, stop loss to break even, right? And then let's say you get up to that 786, which we pretty much just hit. You could be 50% out of the trade right now, stop loss at break even, or you can even put your stop loss in profit. If it comes back down and stops you out, you make more money, whatever. But even if you just take profit and leave your stop loss at break even, there's no way to lose the trade, right? It comes down. Oh, my God. You're not losing money. Sure, you're going to make less profit, right? But if you already locked in your profit at your TP1, you're going to get stopped out, and you're still going to make money on the money that you locked in. So there you go. But it is going to vary trade to trade, right? I usually just to show here, if you do get a continuation, I took a small degen. Well, dang, somebody got BTC excited. Boing. There we go. Nice little squeeze. Stop loss to break even at the anchored VWAP, right? As I just mentioned. So there you go. Little insight into the execution there, guys. Shout out to Jay Hines, said round trip, alts down 40 to 80% or cut losses. Shout out to Jay. I can't make that decision for you, brother, unfortunately. It's a decision you have to make. And again, like I never want people to think that, whatever the chart says is complete gospel, right? Like I don't want to tell. I just don't tell people when to buy and sell. Number one, I can't legally do that. I'm not a financial advisor. I wouldn't even want to do that for people because at the end of the day, you have to make your own decisions. Because even though I've taken profit and at the end of the day, right, there is a chance that we scam to the upside here, right? And if you're one of those people that's like, I know the bull market's not over. If you want to buy into the narratives, that's totally fine. For your case, I hope those narratives happen, right? Whatever you're hoping price goes up for, I hope that happens genuinely. And just because I'm not expecting that doesn't mean it's impossible. So I never want people like, these live streams are never for me to tell you what to do. Never financial advice. Like, this is just me sharing with you guys what I do and how I'm able to call these moves on the chart so you can learn and then bring that into your own analysis, right? If you're looking at this and you're like, wow, I don't agree with any of this. This guy's an idiot and you know something I don't know, and you think it's going up, then why would you sell against your plan because some other person said to? Right? So I don't recommend ever doing that, right? You don't want to look outward. You might want to look outward for education to include into your analysis and into your decision making, right? But you should never be looking for other people to tell you what to do because at the end of the day, I could say, hey, man, maybe we get a retracement, maybe the alts rally, right? But then if that doesn't happen and you don't take profits or you don't cut your losses, right, then you're just mad at someone else. And you can't do that in trading, right? Especially with your own money, right? Like, you don't want to make your decisions based off of what someone else is saying, right? And again, it doesn't mean you can't learn from someone, but there's no shortcut, right? Like, because then you're just going to listen to someone saying, oh, it's bullish. And maybe that person doesn't know, right? Maybe it's actually bearish and they don't know it's bearish, right? And then you're just listening to this other person that may or may not know what they're doing. And then when you lose your money, you're going to blame it on that person, which is not going to help you in the long run. Right? So you can't really shortcut just having someone tell you what to do. I wish it was that easy, right? I'm sure there's people out there that will do that. I just don't do that because I'm just not willing to tell everybody, sell right now, right? Especially when you can get a bounce, right? Like, at this point, I don't like selling red candles. So it's like, I would rather wait for a retracement. If I were holding like massive red bags or something, I would at least try to wait for a retracement. But maybe I'd be wrong about that and regret it, right? At the end of the day, there's just like no one can tell you what to do because anybody can be wrong. We're just trying to make our best educated guesses. And in my opinion, making the educated guesses based off actual information on the charts is the best way. And in that case, my bias is if we can get some kind of a retracement, hopefully that can be good for the altcoin market if that happens on declining Bitcoin dominance. But there's also a chance that doesn't play out, right? So I just reserve the right to not tell people when to buy or when to sell. But, my bias is, things are not really looking that great. If we can't get a retracement here on declining Bitcoin dominance for some kind of an alt season or just some kind of crazy scam for a new all-time high this cycle, which again is not impossible, that's just not the bet that I'm making. Just like the bet here was not all-time highs, the bet here was not all-time highs. It was the opposite. It was lower highs, lower lows, right? And I'm just going to keep betting on that stuff. One day it'll be wrong. Again, I should say. All right, let's see. Shout out to Tomo, said, dang, I added more to shorting the bottom FML rookie move. Frankie, please start accepting crypto payments for the premium Discord. Your setups would have saved me. Shout out to Tomo. At Tony D, can we accept crypto? I think we might be able to accept crypto again very soon. We used to be able to, but then the service that we used stopped. They went out of business or something, so we couldn't do it. But we will be doing a sale on the premium Discord, guys. Not a signals group. If you were looking for someone to just tell you, hey, guys, buy here, sell here, I just share with you guys my personal setups. And if I'm on the chart and I'm at the Discord, when I'm entering, I just keep you guys updated on what I'm seeing, right? Like, this is the most realistic look into the Discord. You get daily TA. We have our setups usually for the week. And then, we'll have all those setups, and I just kind of share with you guys exactly what I'm doing, right? And if I'm on the chart live, I update you guys live, like last night on the short that we set up perfectly that I got stopped out of for negative 0.66% somehow. Or if it's down here where we're looking for the bounce and the shorts coming in. It's just kind of like live narration sometimes of price. But yeah, not a signals group. I'm never just going to be like, buy here. Right now, guys, I just explain what I'm doing, right? So I'm not a financial advisor. I just share with you guys my personal setups and my personal moves that I'm making. Not that you should copy them. You say, I can't make any promises on the timeline, but USDT will soon be available. Shout out to Tony D. Let's go, baby. Can we check the 4-hour, 15-minute setup? Yes, we can. 15-minute money flow crossing into the green with no 4-hour green dot. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to set up because this green dot could pop up any minute, maybe, if we keep pushing. Give us the green dot, Bitcoin. Do it. Do it. But anyway, you do have the VWAP coming up, looking to print the green dot and a bullish divergence with your 15-minute money flow crossover into the green. Just like last night for that short setup. From here, right? You have the 15-minute money flow crossing into the red, right? There's your crossover into the red. Now I'm looking at this, just saying to myself, well, hey, I have the money flow crossing over. Let me see if the 4-hour red dot is printing. Look at that. That 4-hour red dot was just about to print. We're expecting the move to the downside, a lower high and a lower low. And that 15-minute money flow is going to indicate the trend will continue down. But now we're crossing green, right? So maybe that was your trend. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Beautiful short setup. But now we're flipping green with the opposite signal of a potential green dot incoming. So if we print this green dot, just like yesterday, the 15-minute money flow crossover into the red was what we would look at for the continuation down. This 15-minute money flow crossover into the green with and if we get the 4-hour green dot could give you an overall continuation of the trend to the upside, right? Even if you have to retrace. So there you go. It's definitely there. If we can get the green dot. We just need that green dot to print on the 4-hour. But it is looking like it might want to set up here. Oh, yeah, shout out to Tony D. Said the sale on the, thank you for the super chat, bro. It says the sale on the premium Discord will be available tomorrow, guys. We're going to make the announcement. We're going to drop it a little bit early for you guys. We're going to be dropping almost, I think, every subscription tier except for the monthly will have a pretty good deal on it. So let's see. Shout out to Retro Mike Tech in the chat. What is going on, Retro Mike Tech? OG of the Candle Mafia. What is going on, brother? How are people still bullish? Shout out to Scott. Yeah, I don't know. And I have a hard job, right? Because it's like, could you argue that I was bullish down here? I mean, yes, if you want to say I think price is going to go up, if you want to call that bullish. But yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I tried to build the case in the video I dropped earlier today. I highly recommend you guys, after this live stream, go watch that. I try to build out the case. And I've been trying to build out the bullish case ever since we were testing this level down here. It's like, guys, if we lose this, it's hard for me to come up with a bullish case that we're just going to come into new all-time highs because the signs are just not on the chart. As a matter of fact, like, keep repeating myself, right? And I feel like that's probably frustrating for a lot of people. They're like, oh my God, this guy keeps saying the same thing. But there's a huge reason for it because I know I am probably fighting the crowd out there, right? A lot of people are just, don't worry, super cycle, guys. Don't worry. Bitcoin's more bullish than ever. XRP ETFs, that's going to lift off the whole market, right? And like, if people are looking for that, like I see it on TikTok and Instagram all the time. They're like, it's every pump. It's like, oh my God, we're mooning, guys. We're so back. Are we? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, the most realistic bullish case, meaning new all-time highs for Bitcoin, massive blow-off top alt season. The real case is that they just start aggressively printing money, right? But the problem there is we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. QT ends, that's not necessarily the start of absolute money printing. Maybe it is, right? But it's not. That doesn't necessarily mean that. And if you have to wait a little bit longer, right, it could give you a lot of time, regardless of if we're going to go into a traditional bear market or not. I kind of want to stop talking about that because I think everybody kind of knows where I stand. But even if it's not a traditional bear market, if someone said, hey, guys, it's definitely not a bear market, right? If somehow we can get a for sure signal that it's not the bear market for some reason, I would still have to come up here and say the charts don't look good, right? So even if it isn't a traditional bear market, the chances of a bigger continuation down in some form or fashion is higher probability, right? It just is. So yeah, like the only bullish case I could see is like all the TA just means absolutely nothing. The timing of the cycles means absolutely nothing. And we're just going to scam up. I just can't call for it. I just have nothing here saying it. It doesn't mean it can't happen though. The only argument I can really come up with is the bearish case. You have the short-term bullish case, which is pump it for a retracement. But again, we talked about how high we could come up while still remaining bearish. So I just, for that to give you the biggest pump above 109K, I mean, hopefully we can do that, right? It's like, whoops. It's like, make sure I didn't delete an MPOC there, right? Well, maybe if we get above here, right? Well, maybe we can flip 96,300 and flip up into 105K. This is massive resistance. If we can get above 105K, well, hey, we can start looking up towards 108K at our value area high. If we can start getting above here, I would love to say new all-time highs, but I can't, right? Because we have all this other resistance that we have above. And we'll cross this bridge if and when we get there, right? I'm not going to try to predict exactly what's going to go on there as we're so far away. But, you know, we do have a lot to get through here. And once that presents itself, you'll see me come up here and say, hey, guys, things are looking a lot better. Let's send it to all-time highs. Just because it looks very likely that the bear market could come in here doesn't mean that can't change. I just have to wait for the signal. I can't say it until I get the signal. And I'm not willing to say, well, if they start printing money, don't worry, guys. Don't worry about round-tripping your bags. They'll probably print money soon, hopefully. And then if that happens, it'll go up. But what if it doesn't happen, right? And when the charts are pointing in that direction, it's like, hey, it gets a little sketchy. Let's see. Oh, 4-hour green dot printed. Wow, what are we getting? Come on. I was like, print, do it. And then we look away and it prints. So there you go. Potential 4-hour, 15-minute bullish setup setting here. As you're pushing into resistance, though, right? So just be careful. Doesn't mean that, like, 15-minute red dot can print. Maybe get a little pullback, right? Your goal here is still to get above this value area low at 91,500. Above that, I'm going to be looking at about 93, almost 93.8. Once we get above there, we'll start looking higher. But you are pushing up against your resistance here. And it is Fibonacci confluence as well. 786 right there as well. Is that tagged? Not quite. Front ran that 786 by a dot. So there you go. I'll come back into the chat in just a second here. Shout out to Reacherus, says, least not like XRP, buddy who is in denial and says XRP is decoupling from all of crypto. OMFG can't read charts. Shout out to Reacherus. Yeah, I mean, I've just never bought into the whole XRP to $10,000 thing. It's like one of those things, right? It's like the chart is if the chart is bearish, I don't know, guys. Like, listen, if this thing scams up to 10K, like even in the bull market, like hopefully if you've been following my channel throughout this entire market, all my targets for XRP, I might be one of the only people that had realistic targets on XRP. And this is assuming that the bear market is in, right? Maybe if we continue up, we can maybe hit some of our other targets. But I mean, we have not really done, XRP actually has done decent considering the other altcoins. But, and there's our next target, right? If we continue down, value area low, golden pocket, 786, here we are, right? But, when we look at my higher targets for XRP, we had the first target, which was pretty much the all-time high, right? And then real bull market target number one was all the way up here at $5.52. And I have conservative targets, right? If you pay attention to any kind of XRP content, 552 is conservative. And imagine if we go into a bear market, we don't hit this. And if that happens, I hope it kind of puts into perspective that people love to create clickbait. People like to get the clicks. People like to get the views. It does not mean that it's high probability to play out. And to be honest, right, and I'm talking about like the $10,000 XRP. I do not see how that is possible. It just makes zero sense to me. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I'm open to that. You could argue that maybe I would be incentivized to try to figure out a way to believe that, right? Because I hold a lot of XRP. But, I'm just always going to pay attention to the charts, right? If we had a parabolic alt season, I was going to be looking up here towards 552, 850, 11 to $12, and then $15, right? And hopefully we could, maybe if we get the scam up, maybe we could still see something like that happen. But yeah, $100, $10,000 just never was on my radar. It's always based off of some conspiracy theory. That's my problem. Right? I'm not saying that conspiracy theories never come true, but it's always like, did you see this episode of this show and there was like an XRP logo in the background? Did you see the Apple commercial? And I'm just like, I don't know. I like myself a good conspiracy theory, but I would never bet my money on it. You got to go off like what actually moves the price. Let's see. This is about when XRP execs dump all their XRP coins. Shout out to Beyond, maybe. The XRP 10K is related to the SWIFT speculation where 1 trillion of SWIFT transactions would process through XRP. Yeah, shout out to Scott. Yeah, I know that. I know the gist of it. I just don't. I don't know. I just have trouble. Maybe it's the too good to be true thing, right? It's like if XRP goes to $10,000, I'll be like a multi-quadrillionaire. It's like, what are the chances of that? I don't know. Maybe too good to be true. I don't know. I exaggerate, but yeah, pull up the coin perspective. Obviously, the market cap rule doesn't really make sense. I've heard people argue against that. Again, guys, I have no ego. Maybe they know something I don't know. Maybe market cap doesn't work, but that's not what I understand. So again, until that's proven wrong, yeah, check out the coin perspective. It's like one of the best ways to identify if you have realistic price targets or unrealistic price targets. And it ain't over yet, guys. Maybe we do go to $20. I don't know, $15. But shout out to Don Crypt, said Kitco News Trading Channel is calling for a 35 BTC bear market. I believe that is probably based off of the traditional. I believe that's the traditional like 75% dump. Could be wrong. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, that would be the general expectation. Just basing it off the previous cycles, right? It was like, I think it was like 88% correction. Excuse me. You get the diminished returns as well as the diminished losses as the asset matures, right? As the market cap gets higher, the explosions are going to be less percentage-wise, and the dumps are going to be less percentage-wise. It's a logarithmic regression. So if you kind of like take these previous bear markets and average them out, you would expect around a 70% correction if we go into a traditional 4-year cycle bear market, which would bring you down into like the 30s, right? So that would make a lot of sense. We also have major key support around $30,000 as well. This isn't the first. It's too soon for me to be calling for bear market targets. You have the $34,000 POC in the value area low of our previous cycle bull market range. So that target does make sense from a percentage perspective, from a support resistance perspective, or support perspective, I should say. The only thing there is it's just a little too soon to tell, right? Because I've argued that there is a case, right, where maybe if we do go into a bear market, there's no euphoria. We're not probably going to have as much panic selling. You could argue that we have more institutions in, so that could mute the bear market just a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last cycle. I had the 12 to 14K prediction. We hit about 15.5, close enough. But what I was doing here was, as we were approaching the previous all-time high, I started to look at price and say, well, now let me see what the charts are saying. And then once we started seeing these massive weekly bullish divergences, right, we could look for the bottom to be potentially in, right? You're not going to get it to the dollar. I have the 12 to 14K prediction, and then you have the 15. We came down to $15,400. Does that mean that, oh my God, that's as close as, I would argue that you probably could get without getting super lucky, right? So maybe if we get massive bullish confirmations and money flow looks good at a higher level than 34K, well, I'd be totally open to looking for a bounce there, right? If we have these massive confirmations, right? For example, I'll just pull a little bars pattern here, right? Let's just say there's the top in the bear market, right? I'm not expecting it, this to definitely be the bottom, but let's say we came down to 45K, right? And I see these massive weekly bullish divergences, money flow coming back up. I would start to entertain the fact, and it depends on what is going on macroeconomically as well. Maybe they're starting to money print. And, that could change things, right? So I wouldn't just say you have to wait for a 70% correction, but it would line up. And that is partially, that kind of thought process was partially what I used to predict the 12 to 14K bottom last cycle. So it is useful, right? But if I saw the signals earlier, I would have looked for the bottom to come in earlier. So it's always going to be an if, this, then, that. You have the key levels. As you approach, you can start to try to figure out what the charts look like, right? Let's see. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman, said, feels bearish. We're all listening to grunge and 90s alt rock, and definitely copies the last few bear markets. Yeah, shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Oh, God. But anyway, let's see here. Shout out to K Diggity in the chat. What is going on, brother? Why does it have to be a bear or bull market? Shout out to Ty. I actually agree with you, bro. Let's normalize the market goes up and down, right? Because I do think there's too much of an emotional attachment to the word bear market. I think there's this very cinematic view that people have on crypto. The parabolic bull run. The depths of the bear market. The market goes up and down, right? Bitcoin trends up over time. And I think people get tripped up, right? People are like, all right, that's it. Party's over. Got to go home until the next bull market. At the end of the day, right, the longer you're in the market, I think the more calloused you become to the big drops up and down, especially if you've round-trip bags, which if you think I've never round-tripped a bag, you got the wrong guy. I have round-trip bags, guys, 100%, right? When you do that, you start to really become callous to the drops in crypto, right? Like any bag that you fully round trip, right? You're going to look back in hindsight and be like, man, if I wasn't just getting scared by the narratives, oh my God, like back here, exchanges are collapsing, it's all over, this is the worst bear market, 3K incoming, right? Like people realistically calling for 3K here. Insane. Round trip your bag here. You're thinking to yourself, man, if I had just not sold the bottom there, I would be up massively still. So I do think there's a little bit too much emotion when it comes to bear market, bull market. At the end of the day, guys, Bitcoin's a volatile asset. And, we've already endured multiple 30% corrections here. And right now, this is still just about a 30% correction. Double that You know, can you endure 2 of these in a row? That's about 60%. You're probably getting close to the bear market bottom if you go into a traditional 70% dump. And I think it makes a lot of people walk away from crypto, which I think is the worst time. All right, if you get in here and you're like, you know what, I'm cutting my losses, I'll come back in the bull market, this is the worst time to walk away from the market. This is when you should absolutely triple down on your research, triple down on your attention, triple down on learning how to trade so you can actually take advantage of the move down, right? The Mafia's never been afraid of a bear market. I started my channel right here. We were not afraid of that. We made a boatload of money on the way down. And then bought the bottom with the profit. So it's you know, this is, you know, Mafia makes money whether price goes up or down, so it really doesn't matter, right? And I'm not saying you want to round trip your bags, but you know, it's people are gonna, and especially at the bottom, right? Like again, exchanges are dead. Oh my God, it's never going back up. Like that's usually when you want to buy, right? I'm not saying base your decisions based off that, but if the charts are calling for up and everyone's super scared, calling for way lower prices, it's probably a good time to start buying in. Right, or at least start dollar cost averaging in. And I have many strategies that we talk about on the channel all the time based off the charts where I look to actually dollar cost average in. If we see that weekly money flow crossover, buckle up, guys. If the weekly money flow crosses over into the red, buckle up. You are about to be in a free fall, right? Very likely, unless it's a complete fake out. But again, every other cycle, it has been an absolute free fall. Whoops. Weekly money flow crossover into the red, free fall. Weekly money flow crossover into the red, free fall. Weekly money flow crossover into the red, free fall, right? It's after that first drop down on that money flow crossover into the red where I look to DCA into the market. We talked about it back here, bought the bottom, right? Dollar cost averaging, right? Buying, 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 buying. Average entry price right there, smack dab in the middle. So there you go. Let's see. Isn't that now? Shout out to Josh. No, weekly money flow crossover has not happened yet. It is definitely coming out, right? It's definitely concerning here. But, you know, you still have time for a potential green dot to print here, which, again, can give you another ebb or flow to the upside, which will always have an opportunity to just be a complete fake out for new all-time highs. But the expected direction of money flow would be a green dot eventually to come here on the weekly. We could go lower first, but once that green dot prints on the weekly, you could expect some kind of a bounce, a retracement. But the money flow continuing out and crossing into the red, that is probably where you're going to see the big drop down. And if you take a look back at 2021, you could just look what happened in the past, right? So here's your weekly money flow crossover. Price absolutely dumps, right? Like you just come back into bar replay mode to make it nice and like, you know, more relatable. Here's your money flow coming out, right? You could argue maybe we're closer to like right here. It's still pretty thick. But you could say to yourself, well, hey, if this green dot prints, maybe we can get a little retracement back up. Green dot prints, little retracement back up. Another green dot prints, little retracement back up. But what is your money flow doing? Down, and of course you come back into the green here, but with a high time frame like this, you're always going to be cautious of the lower high to continue that overall trend, especially after what you would expect to be a full bear market. At this point, what are you saying to yourself? You have the bounce, you have the green dots, it gives you the push up, but money flow is coming out, so you look for the lower high and the lower low. And then once that money flow crosses red, there's your free fall. Maybe this cycle is the first time where we see a money flow crossover and that doesn't happen. But if that does happen, every other time it is indicated very, very, very bearish price action. Right? And it's even an earlier signal. Crosses over, wiggle sideways, and then the floor opens up. So that's a big thing that I'll be looking for. And then once you get that first big drop, right, money flow crosses red, you get the first big cascade to the downside. When that money flow is in the red, it's typically a good time to DCA. You buy, you buy, you buy, you buy, 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 buy. You're not holding onto your bag waiting for your exact level to get hit. That's how people miss the bottom and wind up buying on the way up. It's not what you want to do. Dollar cost average. But you're buying on the way up. That's okay, because when it goes back down, I will continue to buy. And your average entry price will average out. So there you go. That's like one of the simplest things in crypto. If you don't want to trade and you just want to long-term invest, you could just pay attention to the weekly chart. If the money flow crosses into the green, you're ready for the bull market. If it crosses into the red, it's probably time to buy. Let's see. Shout out to Samo. Said people were calling for an expanded flat continuation during that time. I actually covered that on my channel. I actually did cover the expanded flat on my channel. It was like one of the first videos I made, I think. But once we came up in here with the money flow crossover, I'll never forget this. I got cooked in the comments, guys. People hated me. And we don't, luckily, like, Mafia doesn't get a lot of hate. We really don't get a lot of hate. Probably because I don't really get very emotional. I just show what's on the charts, and it's just more often than not right. Not because I'm a genius, just because the charts are just more often right than they're wrong. But I got so much hate here when we got this weekly blood diamond, right? We had the weekly blood diamond. We had the money flow coming out. I mean, I got cooked, guys. People hated me. And to be honest, like recently, as I had been covering the bearish case here, even up towards $108,000, we had some people not very happy in the chat. Kind of makes me remember those bear market times. But again, you know, definitely not impossible to continue up, right? Like there is still technically hope, I guess, but not on the chart at least, you know. Shout out to K Diggity. Thank you for the super chat. Said, hey, can you say hi to Neon for me, Frankie? Shout out to K Diggity, like Neon the streamer. I feel like he set me up to say something here. Hey, Neon. Hi, Neon. Hi, Neon, me. Shout out to K Diggity. Hi, Neon. Shout out to K Diggity. Is Neon your friend? Are you hanging out with Neon on Twitch right now? Or Kick? Whatever he does? Shout out to K Diggity. Let's go. I appreciate the super chat, bro. Let us know who Neon is, brother. Shout out to Neon. Let's see. Shout out to Lucia. Said, Frankie, assuming it's a bear market and comparing to 2021, isn't 30% enough for a little bounce now? 2021 made a bounce after 50%, talking about the bounce before the 69K fake out. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Just because short answer, sure. I would be looking more at the support though, like for the reason for a bounce. Yeah, I don't want to say like 30%. Just because it's a 30% drop doesn't mean you can't get a bigger drop, right? You know, just because you get the first big drop here and then the retracement to sweep the highs and then go into the bear market, like you could argue that could be possible. But it doesn't mean just because that happened last time that it has to happen this time. Something you could think about, something you could take into account. You know, I don't think, I hope that this is not just going to melt down in a straight line, right? Like that's kind of the decent news, right? It's like we would expect either from the levels we're at right now to get some kind of a retracement, if not a big blow off, which again, lower probability. But I mean, we're at the support, right? You're at the value area low, technically still the golden pocket if we can close the weekly up there. So I mean, you're at support, right? Like I would never be looking to short the bottom, right? Like when I bring up those last short setups that we brought up in that I showed in the premium Discord, or I talked about from the premium Discord, right? This is never a place where I'm looking for a fresh short. And it doesn't mean that price can't continue down, right? Sure, price can just melt through this level. Doesn't mean it's a good short setup. For me personally, I need an actual sound setup. Look at that. Come on, crack above that value area high, baby. Go, 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 Bitcoin, go. You have no time. You have absolutely no time. Go. Do it now, brother. Do it now. But anyway, like even this short here, I am not shorting at the low, right? I am not seeing a big drop down and then shorting. I need some kind of significant retracement. And even here, right? Like I didn't catch the top of the retracement, but as we push back up into this value area low Fibonacci retracement, that is where I take the short position. I'm not shorting at the bottom. 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 The only thing I can look at when price comes down is longs, right? Now, could you take a short here? Potentially, right? But it's all confirmation based, right? Like you have your 15-minute money flow coming up. You have your 4-hour green dot and bullish divergence printing. That's not necessarily a signal to take a short, right? So what I would want to see is a retracement and bearish confirmations, right? So why would I not short here? I don't really have the confirmations, right? I actually have bullish confirmations, at least locally, right? Not bullish as an all-time highs. But I mean, you could. I mean, this is definitely a local level where maybe you can look for a local high, a local lower high. I mean, you have your Fibonacci 786 retracement. We're attempting to break above it, but there's no saying that you can't wick it, close down below, and then continue down. So I mean, you're at resistance for sure. But it's just like from a higher time frame, right? Like I can't look for a swing short down here, right? The swing shorts were to be had either at the all-time high, which was a setup in the premium, right here at 116K, which was a setup in the premium, or from right here at 107.4, which was in the premium Discord. So notice where all those shorts were taken as prices pushing up, as prices pushing up, as prices pushing up, right? So it's not that you can't take a short here, and maybe we do continue to melt down, but from like a higher time frame perspective, it's really hard for me to short at support like this. Doesn't mean it's not going to play out, right? But I would need some kind of like a bigger continuation up with bearish confirmations to then look for the continuation down, right? You also have the daily green dot printing as well. So yeah, I mean, there's many different things, right? It's not just like seeing a level, like, oh, we're at resistance, take a short, right? You have to have a reason for it, and you got to make sure there's no bullish confirmations, if that makes sense. And again, it doesn't mean that price can't come down from here. It just means like the setup is very difficult from a higher time frame perspective, right? Like if I were going to take a swing short up here, or down here, I should say, right? Like short here, stop loss above this high, and then like your next key level of support is right here. That's not a great risk to reward. It's 50-50. And if you want to go above like a significant high, you'd have to go all the way up here. And then you'd have to have a pretty crazy target and be really confident that price was just going to dump straight from there in order to make that risk to reward make sense. So like even if I had a bias, right, there's a lot of times, and this will be very confusing for people who are new. There will be times where I might feel bearish, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to take a short, right? Like, I might think that price is eventually going to continue down here, but if it doesn't give me the retracement for a setup to take the trade, I just let price come down, and I'll take the long, right? I'll take the next setup. So I saw someone ask, why are you not shorting here? Hopefully that kind of gives you some insight. Shout out to Kalia, said, nah, it's Neon the dorky kid. Shout out to Kalia. Sniff Mrs. Candle's hands. Mrs. Candles! I don't know if she's I don't know if she's gonna come here. She's probably just mad that I'm screaming her name. Frankie, do you think if we break 92K level, we will get rejected before 94K again? Also, what are take profit levels for the long trade you have? Shout out to Moid. I actually already covered the, or I guess the take profits from here. I covered the original plan. But yeah, I'll probably lock in profits here and keep my stop loss at break even. If it plays, it plays. The next major level is going to be sitting here at the previous high, $93,753. But here's the thing. If we can break above this and hold it, that does open the door to get to the POC. So, like, the next major targets, right? And I'll just pull this from a very... Pull from the high to the low. Golden Pocket 786, right? Like, this is... You have the 786 here, but if we pull the full fib... Sitting right here, I mean, this is resistance, right? So... If we get above this, the next take profit for me, if we can break above this high, the next big level, right? It all depends, right? Like if you want super local levels, there's going to be levels all over the place, but the next significant level above here, if we break above 93,700, 93,800, next big level is going to be sitting here at the POC, right? Because at that point, you're above the value area low. The next major target is going to be the POC anyway. This is the magnetic target. And it's not just a POC either, right? You also have a daily naked point of control just below that at about 95,000. You also have a weekly MPOC and a daily MPOC directly on top of the point of control of the range. No monthly MPOC, no weekly level, no daily level, no monthly level, right? So the next general big resistance will be obviously the POC, and then you have this little intermediary level at about 95.2. So these will be the next targets for me. If we don't get rejected here, look to take out this high. And if we get above that 786, well, guess what? Right? If you're looking for lower highs and lower lows, this is the place to do it. Now, again, we have some signs on the chart that we can continue up. So I'm not saying it's a great short setup. But this would be high, low, lower, low, right? If you break that 786, it invalidates that idea, and you could look to take out the highs, pushing you into your next target at 95.2. And then if you can get above that, eventually it's just looking for that journey to the POC at $96,000, where I will be interested in short positions again. So, yeah, there you go. Hopefully that makes sense. So, like, these are kind of major targets ahead. Number 1, we're pushing into right now. Once you get above that 786, hopefully we can take out that high for target number 2, 95,203, and 96,000-ish, 96 to 96.5 is going to be the next big level, right? Because you have the macro POC there, higher time frame level, and all those MPOCs, right? There's not a lot of horizontal levels in here, right? There's no daily MPOCs up here. There's no daily MPOCs here. There's no daily MPOCs here. The next big horizontal level is sitting up there. So hopefully that makes sense. So there we go. Let's check in on the long here. Up 1,500. Let's see. Shout out to Lion says, have we talked about the weekly being as oversold as the bear market lows? I have not looked at that just yet, but we can take a look at it for you. I'll pop up over here to the weekly time frame. I would love. Oh, man. I was going to say I would love that daily candle. Oh, man. Right on that value area low. So close. So close. Hopefully we can get up there. But taking a look at the weekly here. Yeah, not necessarily. So the weekly momentum wave is not as oversold as it was in the previous bear market. So there is the bear market. I mean, it's not far away. Right? So that's the bear market low on market cipher B. Negative 75. We are currently sitting at negative 55. Not that that would be like a massive signal for me anyway, right? It wasn't really necessarily the maybe you're talking about this low, in which case we are at that level. But here's the thing, right? The biggest momentum wave in that bear market came down to negative 75. And then what was this low? This was a higher low for the bullish divergence, right? So although the bottom came in here, we had the low and the higher low. Right, so this is just not something I would really. I mean, it's for sure oversold. For sure, if we get a green dot, you could totally get a retracement or a bounce. But this is not what I would like indicate as the bottom of a bear market. What I would really like to see is a bullish divergence. You're not always going to get a bullish divergence, but yeah, I mean, this money flow still has not crossed over into the red. Right, you have to understand if this money flow. Let's just assume that we know this money flow is going to cross into the red. You're still early here, right? So that retracement could give you the push up. And then once that next red dot prints, if this money flow drags into the red, I mean, you're probably going lower, right? And then what would that look like on market cipher? Maybe you have the low, and then you have a higher low. And then the bottom comes in. So, yeah, but you are similarly in the you're in a similar area as the second momentum wave there, not the first one. Because what this shows you, price coming down, momentum coming up, right? That gives you the divergence between your price action and your momentum, right? So it's like, oh my God, this is super bearish. But to indicate that you're actually, what you want to see is you want to find discrepancies. And this kind of goes for anything, whether you're looking at order flow, exo charts, market cipher B, the RSI, you want to find discrepancies in the market. And that's where the money's made, right? So here, it's like, okay, cool, you have a big momentum wave. Yes, you're oversold. Is there a likelihood for a bounce? Yes, right? But there's no real discrepancy here. The discrepancy comes in once you get the bounce and price goes lower as your momentum is coming up. There's your discrepancy indicating the reversal. So you were definitely oversold on the same spot as the second momentum wave, but again, not as deep as that first wave went. And for me, honestly, I would like to see some kind of bullish divergence. It's too soon to say. I don't know if you're saying that's the bottom for like a bull market, like this is the bear market's finished. That is not what I would expect. But it definitely would. I mean, you're definitely oversold here. Even like when you look at the higher time frames, like or lower, higher daily time frames, like the 3-day, like this is oversold for sure, right? Does that mean that you could get a retracement? Absolutely, right? But this money flow would indicate that you're probably got more lows to come in, and then we can get something like that. That would be more indicative of a low. And I can actually bring this example up as well. Back here on the April lows, right? You get your first drop down. This is the 3-day, right? Big old oversold momentum wave. Does that indicate you can get a bounce? Sure. You got one green dot here. You got a little bit of a bounce. You got your second green dot here, a little bit of a bounce. But what happens, right? You wind up putting in another low, and then you get the discrepancy, right? You get the lower low with the higher low, then you get the reversal. Doesn't mean you can't bounce, right? Like I said, the market moves in ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows and ebbs, and then eventually the trend will continue, right? But if you look at this, it's like, oh my God, this is super oversold. You could try to look at the last time it was oversold at that level. All right, so I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything, but it's like, oh, last time we were down here was back here. The bottom's in, right? Not necessarily. So it could mean that you're going to bounce, but I just wouldn't necessarily think that it's the bottom forever, right? New all-time highs. Hopefully that's the case, but I wouldn't look at that as the indication. But you are definitely oversold. Definitely could give you a bounce. Absolutely correct. Thanks for the response. Shout out to Lion. Of course, brother. Of course. No stupid questions here, guys. Absolutely no stupid questions. And you're definitely right, but just not what I would look at for the bottom of a bear market. Yo, hang on one second. Neon is in the chat. So Neon is a real person. Okay. Or I guess Neon, the streamer, is a real person too. The money flow indicator is, this is Market Cipher B. It is not free. It is a paid indicator. You can actually, I don't know if their Black Friday deal is ready yet, but if you guys use our link, you can save a lot of money, especially if you wait to use the link until they get their Black Friday sale going. You can save money. But yeah, this is a paid indicator. Frankie Candles Essentials is free. That is my free indicator in collaboration with Lux Algo. That is 100% free. You could just search my name, which is Franklin Templeton. Frankie Candles, Lux Algo. This one right here, 3.3K downloads. So you just click that. Shout out to Neon. I did not realize you were actually someone in chat. Yo, shout out to Tuesday's Gone, which is actually factual. Tuesday's Gone. Thank you for this. Thank you for gifting the memberships, brother. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Gifting the 10 Frankie Candles memberships. I appreciate you, bro. It's extremely generous, guys. These memberships are not cheap. So if you did just get one, throw Tuesday's Gone some love in the chat. If you just got a free membership, we appreciate you so much. And welcome to the Mafia. New membership earners. You can never leave now. Just kidding. Hashtag not a cult. Let's see. Can we get a push on XRP on the new weekly green dot? Just at face value, I would say that is probably a valid case. Now, of course, you need to print the green dot. Of course, there is always opportunity for this to just stay below the zero line as you continue melting down. But yes, when we get that green dot, I would anticipate some kind of a bounce off that level or off that signal. Absolutely, right? And here's an example of a weekly green dot. Money flow wasn't coming out necessarily, but just to show, right? Weekly green dot, pops up here. You get a bounce. You do wind up coming back down. I guess you didn't make a lower low. You actually put in a higher low and a higher high. Money flow was in the green, though, which is nice. But you can see, right, green dot pop. I just don't want it to be like, hey, if we get that weekly green dot, it's new all-time highs. I just want to be very clear about that. But yeah, if we get that weekly green dot, we could get the bounce. And just, while we have XRP up here, guys, this was our key level that we looked at yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before and the day before. If we could not reclaim that POC, we look to get sucked down to the value area low in the 786. And one of the other reasons we were suspicious of coming down here, not only were we below the POC, but also we had front run that 786 and value area low just briefly here back in early November, which does indicate that more often than not, those levels will get tapped. Because when you look at this from a volume profile perspective, you would say to yourself, you get a drop into the range, ignore the liquidation wick, right, into the POC, play with the POC, bounce around. Once you lose the POC, you go to the value area low. But we front ran it. The volume profiles have a funny way of eventually getting the revisit to actually get that full fill of the range. Now, you could argue, or you can say this was a full fill of the range, and this was technically, right, almost a full fill of the range, just front running it by $1. But more often than not, you will revisit those levels to actually physically tap them. And this is exactly where we're getting the bounce from right now. Let's see here. 2 hour. Man, I do have to say, yeah, you don't have the bullish divergences, which is somewhat unfortunate. Doesn't mean you can't get the continued bounce, but you got a little, you got some high time frame bull divs. You don't have the low time frame like entry triggers though, right? So you have the 12-hour bullish divergence. Looking to print, if you can get that 12-hour green dot, you might be able to see a little bit of a continued bounce. And the thing I like about this better than this bounce is just the fact that you've actually tapped the value area low, right? So maybe, I mean, this I would just look at as a range, right? This is your volume profile. You go from the high to the POC. eventually to the low, even though it was a super wonky roadmap. So at this point, right, as long as you can stay above this value area low and golden pocket, get back above the value area low, maybe we can work our way back up to that POC at 240. Flip the POC, look to come into the value area high, and of course we will have local levels to look at along the way, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It is still not until, this could just be some kind of a wonked out range, guys, right? But it still wouldn't be until we flipped back up here that I would feel much better about XRP. Hopefully that happens. But with all these higher time frame money flows coming into the red, it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good, right? 4-day money flow in the red, 5-day money flow deep in the red, 6-day money flow just crossed over, and our weekly money flow is obviously getting very close into the red. Again, money flow indicates the trend. Doesn't mean you can't get the bounces, right? So yeah, there you go. There's a little sauce on XRP. Shout out to Panda the Prophet said, hey, since when is this not a cult? Not a cult. Guys, we might light candles. We might drop candles in the chat. Oh, God, shout out to French Toaster and Jedi Skirt. Dropping candles in the chat. Drop the candles in the chat, guys. If we're really a cult, drop those candles. We might do rituals for here once in a while, but we're not a cult, I swear. And if we are a cult, we're a friendly cult. We're a mafia. It's a bit different. Shout out to Caesar. Says, hey, dude, I'm curious if an exchange will ever pay you back for showing ghost trades, technical issues, constant slippage, etc. I have 500 million in volume and just noticed a lot of BS. Interesting. Shout out to Caesar. There's the candles. Let's go, baby. I have never had that problem. I don't have any experience. I don't know if I really have a good answer for that. I've never tried to get anything back. And the way, oh my God, guys, you're not making it a good argument for us being a cult with the candles in the chat and the inhalers is crazy. Let's go. Drop the candles in the chat. Hashtag not a cult. But yeah, I've never had that experience. I guess you could try to reach out. I don't know if you'll have luck. I don't really have an experience to tell you if you would have good luck or not. But yeah, like ghost trades, I'll be honest, every time I've thought, and I'm not saying this is the case for you, maybe the exchange really had messed up. Anytime I've ever thought I had a ghost trade, like yesterday, guys, do you know, and this really comes into like having the self-accountability, guys. Like on this short position, like I can't tell you how painful this is for me because especially like when you call it, right? Or like when you look for the setup and you let the Discord know and it plays out and then you come back to the chart and you're like, wait a second, I took the trade. Why is it stopped out after we dropped $75? That makes no sense. And in my head, it's like you want to be like, oh my God, the exchange screwed me over. But I can almost guarantee you what happened was I wound up clicking, like I said, this little TP. I don't know if it was a TP or a stop loss. I've done this before in the past, and I just kind of write it off to myself. Like, I probably just click this, and I even tested it on demo trading. I went back on demo trading, used this, and there's just no identifier, or at least for me, I don't know if it was a glitch. There was like no identifier that the level was there. So, I so badly want to be like, oh, the exchange messed me up. But at the end of the day, the very higher chance is that I probably just clicked this. I should have checked my actual stop loss order to make sure it was in the right spot. And, I missed out on that trade, but I just blame myself. But that's not to say that some exchanges don't mess up. It's definitely possible. I've just never, every time I've thought that an exchange, there's been times on KuCoin where I thought that they had taken my stop loss off. And then it's like I really just do some digging. I'm like, you know what? I was really busy that day, and I was kind of rushing around. Maybe it is my fault, right? But it's not to say exchanges don't do that. I just can't. It's never really happened to me where I can confirm that it was a mistake on the exchange's part. So, yeah, I wish I could give you a better answer, but you can always try. You can always reach out. God, the candles are crazy, guys. Let's go. Hashtag not a cult, baby. Frankie told me we're not a cult. We are really, though. Shout out to Keith. Oh, God, guys. We're going to get investigated. So you lit that candle on your live stream and started singing creepy songs. What's that all about, candles? But anyway. All right, let's see here. Oh, good Lord. We're at 2 hours already, guys. Oh, man. What makes me confident a reversal is happening? Shout out to Dustin. I would use the term reversal very sparingly. It depends, man. It's so difficult. It's like, it depends on what you mean by reversal. I do not I do not think there is a reversal like this happening right now. Unless something pops up on the chart on the way up that makes me change my mind, right? Or something on the chart changes. I don't even want to say change my mind because the only time I change my mind is based off the charts. But if you're asking about the long position that I just showed, why I took it, why I was looking for it to give me a bounce to the upside, it was just simply coming to this key level that we looked at yesterday with bullish divergences and a ton of shorts entering at the low, making it very likely to get a squeeze back to the upside. So that's what that was based off of. So like, I guess if you're talking about like this reversal, sure, it looks beautiful, right? But I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be like a massive, massive pump. Hopefully it is. But what made me look at this was just coming into our key level, bullish divergences, and all the shorts entering, where I know all that liquidity is going to sit above, and if we push, you could get that squeeze up. That's what I based it off of. But for all we know, right, we're at resistance, right? So in this super bearish environment, maybe the reversal's over. But like I said, the 4-hour green dot that just started printing with another 4-hour bullish divergence, right? So there's your 4-hour bull div, there's your green dot, there's your 15-minute money flow crossing into the green right here. That is what makes me think that we could get a continuation up, right? But just don't get it twisted. That does not mean long right here. My long is entered from down here, not up here. There is no universe that exists where I am longing on a green candle randomly like that. Maybe if you get a retracement or something, you can look for retracement entries. But yeah, I do not, just to be clear one more time, guys, I do not think that this is the bottom for good. Hopefully it's wrong, right? Hopefully it is the bottom for good, but that is not my thought process. So yeah, hopefully I was clear about that. Short stream, guys. Shout out to Matt Did, related to Steve Will Do It, but Matt already did it. Shout out to Matt. Short stream as always, guys. Shout out to Mikey, said, is this a pullback, though? I'm terrified to lose more money. LOL, the weekly moving average cross scares me, or I'd be long. Shout out to Mikey. If you're talking about the 50-week moving average, yeah, totally agree, right? Definitely a scary thing for the high time frames. But again, right, like if you're going to even get some kind of a small retracement here on the higher time frames, it could be a very, very nice long position. But that does not mean that I will not be taking profits here in case it does roll back over, right? Not just betting the farm here for an eventual gigantic continuation. I'm going to let the bigger moves hit me by surprise. I'm going to be very careful moving my trail of my stop loss along the way here, so I don't get cooked on that trade. So yeah, I would say this. Listen, if you're like nervous right now and you're scared to lose money, I'll give you my most honest advice I can give you is probably the best decision for you is to not do anything. Right? Because if you're nervous about losing money, like you're already approaching the trade with an emotional stance. This is what most people need to work on in their trading. Right? If you're already nervous about getting into the trade, you're already nervous about losing money, and you're like, maybe you just lost a bunch of money or something like that. I don't know. If you're already coming from an emotional place, probably the best trade for you is no trade. That way, if it goes up or down, it doesn't matter. You're not going to lose money. You're not going to gain money. Right? And if you get upset that, say you wanted to short here or long here, and you decide not to, you're like, I don't know, I feel emotional, I don't want to get, I don't feel confident, you should probably just sit out. And if you don't, and you see price move up, and you feel super annoyed about missing that move, identify that and say, why do I feel so bad right now? I'm not losing money. I'm missing out on gains. You're chasing money. That's greed. That's an emotion. You need to delete that out of your being. Right? And you're probably not going to be able to delete the emotion. We're human, and we're humans. We're emotional beings. But what you do have to do is try not to let it affect your actual decisions, right? So if you're worried about losing money, you're a little bit stressed out right now, probably the best thing to do is maybe sit out. If I were to look for anything up here, it would have to be a short. But again, based off all the things I just showed for a potential continuation up, I would not be looking for a short here necessarily. But, just because we've already gotten the move up, like when I look at this, right, like this is not the time to long, right? If I was not long here, I would say to myself, like if I was not long from down here, I would say I missed this move. That's okay, right? I missed my short yesterday from here to here. I caught the long from here to here, right? So it doesn't matter. I get slightly upset about missing the short, but it doesn't matter the next day because we catch the long. Right? So it's always going to be another opportunity. So if you want a long here, but you're really scared and you think you're not going to be able to manage the trade very well because of the emotion, just sit out. If it goes up without you, no problem. You can wait for the next level to potentially look for a short. So hopefully it helps you out. Let's see. Get gold from the dirt because it's free. Because it's free Bitcoin. Free BTC is a good thing. Shout out to stupid Bitcoin. Smart Bitcoin, as we like to call them. Buy high, sell higher, guys. Shout out to Wonton Wisdom. That's some Wonton Wisdom, baby. But guys, with all that being said, wow, I did that same thing yesterday, guys. Pulled up the thumbnail. But yeah, with all that being said, that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. Nice to get a little pump here. Pull that long back up. Almost up 2K on the long here. I'm going to go ahead and lock in some profits and maybe trim my stop loss up. Maybe I'll leave it at break even in case we get a little drop to the downside overnight. But not a bad trade here. Nice that I missed the long, missed the short, so I was happy I caught that long. We didn't really take a look at too many altcoins tonight. We took a look at XRP, but we'll cover some more altcoins on tomorrow night's live stream. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. If you appreciate the content, we appreciate the likes and the subscribes way more. So thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Stupid Bitcoin said, "Aw, I was so late." Shout out to Stupid Bitcoin. But yeah, I will see you guys here tomorrow. If anything crazy, guys, right now, if you want my overall long-term view on the market, go to the channel and check my latest upload. I think the thumbnail says something like, "Is the bear market starting?" Watch that video. It's not to cause fear. I just show all the puzzle pieces that are looking very bearish, and I even tried to give a little hope as well. But if you guys want my overall long-term view, go check out that video now. Drop a like, drop a comment on that video to enter into the giveaway on Friday. And I will see you guys here tomorrow. Same place, same time. Pray for this Bitcoin pump to continue. Watch that 4-hour green dot, 15-minute money flow for the continuation. And if we drop down, $82,000 to $85,000 is the next area of interest. That's all I got for today's live stream. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Should have had them kill bells ready, spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving it energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Guys, Mrs. Candles inflated herself. Guys, this might be a bullish sign. I did not inflate her. She was deflated 5 minutes ago. Oh my God, pull down your oh my God, Mrs. Candles. Almost did a nip slip there. But guys, Mrs. Candles is inflated again. This could be a bullish sign. Hopefully, Mrs. Candles. Will you continue the pump, Mrs. Candles? Tell the mafia. Hey. She gets stage fright, guys. Sorry. Say something. No? All right. Well. Anyway, I understand her looks, guys. That's a bullish look. Hopefully she pumps it. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. I'm losing my mind, guys. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track. Now they won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top